You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
You're listening to the John Doe Radio Show.
Feeling cheeky, time free weekly. I beseech thee, let's be daring. No preparing, no agendas. Let's go where the paper sends us. Open mic, perhaps a slam. Don't care where I need to jam. Grab your purse and clip on earring. Sorry, I'm so commandeering. Air and towels and tanks got petrol. Acting weird cause I was let go. Say I'm boring like I'm veg. Say I lack a cutting edge. I will show them that I'm golden. Gem watchers can kiss my colon. Nouveau brands won't stand a chance. Please park it, Margaret. I was dance. I got the beats for your face. Yes, I can hold it down. These kids are such a disgrace. I need it on the ground. Mental stimulation, vote, registration patches on my elbows, my skin colors on my cord. Are you joking? It's too smoky. There's a cover. We should leave. Let's not panic. Let's beat traffic and get home in time for tea. Kids have access, nostalgia waxes. Can't relax if I can't breathe. Let's just exit. We're not sexy. I feel fat and elderly. Let's play Scrabble. Let's play Boggle. Discovery Channel with Ted Koppel. Kids are awful. They're all moshing, so obnoxious, sneezing, coughing, spilling beer and breaking glasses. They're no fun, these trust fund fascists. No more head trips, we got Netflix. Let's grow beehives and mustaches. I got the beats for your face, yes, I can hold it down. These kids are such a disgrace, I need it on the ground. Mental stimulation, vote, registration patches on my elbows, my skin colors on my cord. There is vomit on the toilet and no soap I can't dispense. Girl named Wendy grabbed my testes, now I have no confidence. Can't believe it, I smell reefer, we might get a contact high. I feel loopy, I see stoopies, I need pizza with these doobies. I feel mellow legs are jello, hold me up or I might nap. Someone dose my Diet Coke, it's not a joke, so please don't laugh. Freaky Friday might go my way, I feel like a different person. Now I'm tripping, ceilings dripping, wait a minute, no crowd surfing. I got the beats for your face. 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 Yes, I can hold it down. I got the beats for your face. Yes, I can hold it down. These kids are such a disgrace. I need it on the ground. Mental stimulation, vote, registration patches on my elbows, my skin colors on my cord. I got the beats for your face. Yes, I can hold it down. These kids are such a disgrace. I need it on the ground. Mental stimulation, vote, registration patches on my elbows, my skin colors on my cord.
John Doe Radio.
I know you don't smoke weed. I know this. But I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do.
How much higher can you get?
Human brain is made for thinking, not pubic experience. It's hardly a tinker toy or experimenting. Not pubic with drugs.
Why do we talk about marijuana? It's the single biggest drug that is a source of some confusion.
This is really about educating the public about the fact that marijuana is a less harmful drug.
Marijuana, that's to get high.
You can be as high as you want.
The prohibition of marijuana over the last 71 years has not actually prevented you from using marijuana.
You feel weak.
Close to winning the war on drugs.
I do believe there have been some successes.
We will never arrest our way out of this problem.
Welcome to the John Doe Radio Show. I am your host, John Doe. Damn, I'm loud. Hold on. Welcome to the John Doe Radio Show. I am your host, John Doe. Thank you very much for hanging out with us today on the John Doe Radio Show. Bike, not going to make it in today. We will miss him. Not going to be as fun of a show, probably. I won't get frustrated. It's one thing. So thank you for hanging out with us. iCannabis Radio. It's Friday on the John Doe Radio Show. News today and Also on today's show, we have a very special guest with us, one of our brand new sponsors here on the John Doe Radio Show. Grow Big Supply is going to hang out with us. Colin from Grow Big Supply going to hang out with us, probably talk about growing, going to talk about growing supplies and how you can get some of the better prices around here in Colorado. If you're a dispensary, God, I was really loud there at the beginning, wasn't I? It completely distracted me. If you're a dispensary or if you're a shop that's going to be opening, you're looking for maybe a place that can help you out and hook you up and take care of you, good care of you. You know, some places aren't necessarily able to offer the kind of service that maybe a dispensary or a shop that's opening up, a greenhouse, whatever, you know, a grow that, you know, you're going to want to go with someone knows exactly what they're doing. So we'll talk with Colin a little bit more about that. He'll be here in about 20 minutes, 30 past the hour. It's good times. Thanks to our sponsors here on John Doe Radio, on iCannabis Radio. Check us out, iCannabisRadio.com. Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 is when we air. You can also get our repeated shows on iCannabisRadio.com. Under the recorded shows tab, just go down to JDR, click there, and all of our actual visual YouTube videos of our shows are at iCannabis Radio. Or if you'd like, subscribe to us at iTunes, which is a great way to get the show delivered to you. All you got to do, go to iTunes.com, search for the John Doe Radio Show. Our logo comes up there. Click on us, subscribe, and anytime that we upload a show to the feed, it gets shipped off to you as soon as iTunes refreshes that awesomeness, which is cool. It's like a gift from JDR every day. Showing up in your iPad. You're like, ooh, I've got mail. It's a personal reach out and touch from me to you, from us to you. Reach out and touch someone. Big thanks to everybody who appeared on the John Doe Radio Show this week. It was actually a fantastic week of guests here on the John Doe Radio Show. Sometimes we get stuck into the news pattern of things, and it's always awesome to have guests here on the show. In fact, big thanks to Greg last week also, who was on the John Doe Radio Show, giving us a look at the whole magazine ban thing, which, by the way, as we mentioned, was overturned. A federal judge said that the pot treat pot magazines like porn magazines, put them behind the counter for places that allow under 21 years old in, or they could only be sold in a dispensary. That was knocked down by a federal judge. Judge said, no, that's not constitutional, not going with that, so pretty much the end of that. And also thanks to Green Side Up Gallery. Awesome times with Green Side Up Gallery. Stay Concentrated, who I just saw some dudes from Stay Concentrated a few minutes ago. You guys are awesome. Become more and more of a fan of that company the more times I meet people. Damn, that was loud. Facebook message. Happy Friday here on the John Doe Radio Show. Hopefully you're baked. I've taken a few hits. I actually got a nice, tasty hit. I didn't ask him what it was, but it was this amazingly nice, tasty hit from Stay Concentrated. So I just went to go sit down in the green room and take a hit, and all of a sudden, I got hash makers sitting around me, so I hide what I had because it's really embarrassing. I hide the wax what I have. I just set it down over here and put it over in the corner. It was like, oh yeah, what do you got? Because there's no way they were gonna want to hit what I had. Ay. Maybe we'll get into it today. Maybe we won't. But Cheryl Schumann kind of coming under fire here the past couple days for some things that she said. Now, if you don't know who Cheryl Schumann is, she's a let's see what this is how Huffington Post lists her as. Cheryl Schumann, Los Angeles-based marketing and public relations consultant who founded a medical marijuana collective. And, I mean, that's the whole history with that. Also, Beverly Hills Normal. So, I mean, she has quite a history in reform and in cannabis. But said some weird comments the other day in an interview talking about how nobody really wants to be, don't quote me on this exactly, but basically saying how everybody would, nobody wants to be a part of that whole, like, the woke scene that we talk about. Who wants to be a part of that? So that was some of the most interesting news that came across here the past couple of days. I wanted to try and avoid that, but why not discuss that scene, how weird talk show has become quite a bit of passed around. I don't know what you want to call it. Discussion isn't necessarily the right word for it. Torching? Flaming? Give me one. Also today, coming into the show with this slightly heavy heart here, remembering friends that we've lost during this whole fight, friends that, not only have, we talk a lot about the drug war victims and people that get put in prison and that are punished with criminal histories. But also something else to think about through all this is that, because the cannabis, I'm more and more of a believer that the cannabis plant will become a solution to so many health problems that it's so disturbing to think about how many years that we've sat and held back on research with the cannabis plant, how many years that we could have been moved forward had we just been smarter as a nation. And I'm not just talking about the drug warriors, I'm talking about all of us as a whole, because as some people here on the show, like, when I get into a situation where I like to, sit down and talk and take apart, I'm going to have a problem thinking today unless I get a pen and a paper to write notes. But as we sit down, as I sit down and I talk about, what's gone wrong in our society with the drug war and why it's failed, but yet been so successful for them so long. And one of the things is that, we have to take a huge brunt of that responsibility as a community that, we just haven't presented a good enough argument up until this point in time that either way, it's not their fault. It's not our fault. Well, I guess you could say it is their fault because they're the ones that kept running with it. But, I don't like to say, oh, it's completely your fault. You're the one. If it weren't for you, we would have never had this happen. We as a nation, we failed completely to take responsibility for the drug war because people just assumed that, look, this war on drugs, this heavy policing is going to work. That coming down on people, throwing people in jail, throwing people into treatment, trying to get them to stop doing something that it comes naturally to the human brain, trying to alter our mental state of being, that, well, I'm not going to worry about that. And at a certain point in time, it became very classified, meaning that, lower middle class, lower class, certain sectors and certain people in our society are affected more by this drug war. And so that allows the other people to just kind of like hide their eyes, to sit there and turn the other way and not believe in what they're necessarily hearing on the news or believe that the drug war is failing. Is all they see is certain people being arrested, is all they see is hear from the drug warrior side is that, look, this is a positive move that we've made. We're arresting so many people. This is an increase in arrests this year from last year. We're making more money off of drug arrests this year, last year. That's what they're making the success off of, is basing it as a business model more than a health model. When people are not just going to stop doing something, the very basis of living is feeling good and succeeding. If you feel good and you're succeeding in life, then there's a pretty good chance that you should be in a position to where you're positive in life, that you feel good, you're successful in your job, everything should be kosher in your life. But sometimes that's just not the case. So people like to go use drugs. People like to alter their state of mind. People like to drink. And we're not going to change that. So building a business model off of that is absolutely a fantastic, great idea. Because you've always got a base that you're going to be able to draw off of. And at the same time, you're not going to be able to, change this base and be able to pitch to people that, look, this is a horrible thing that we're allowing. We need to fight this, fight this, fight this. And now we've dug ourselves into, so we dug ourselves so big and deep into a hole that we couldn't dig out of it, that it became this huge business, this enterprise, included with prisons, that people don't want to bail from it. So to me, there's two portions of the drug warriors. Those people that are making money off of it, and they see the business of it, the model, and they see that this is the structure and how it should be. And then there really is those diehard drug warriors that believe that, you know what, nobody should be doing drugs, that we have to fight it no matter what. I need to force you how to think. I need to force you to feel good. I need to force you to live life the way that I would like you to live life. Now that's, what the people that wanted to form a business off of this turned to as their grassroots movement. The people that were, the diehards, just like you and I on our side. I mean, that's what we have to sort of form at this point in time. And that's what I sort of see forming here in Colorado is, this alliance and this industry that helps fight that word that's come in, that help fight that drug warrior side and that stance that's just been absolutely ridiculous. What's up, man? How you doing? Go ahead and sit down there. Yeah, you can sit right there. Colin from Growin Big Supply. Hey, Mike's not going to join us today, so he won't be able to make it in.
Can't break his bowels?
He's definitely sorry that he can't make it in.
I'll get over it.
Yeah, it's cool. So I was just finishing up here. I was talking about, sort of the drug war and, responsibility for the drug war. And, really what we're seeing right now also is the collapse of everything. I mean, we're seeing a collapse of the drug war. We're seeing how marijuana, is coming in and being legalized. It's changing, the thoughts. It's that pick, that shoehorn, that whatever you want to say, that wedge that's being drove into, the collapse of the drug war, because they based it so many years off of marijuana. The amount of money that, our community, that people using marijuana give into the drug war, it's just become this industrial complex along with prisons. So
it has been, no doubt. It's I guess it started in, post-prohibition, but I think it really got legs with Nixon. I can't remember the exact quote verbatim.
Yeah, I think it's been a business since the very beginning of time, very beginning of since the 1930s.
Well, a lot of it was against hemp, not actually marijuana. It was the paper companies, being that it was more productive, and a lot of the bigwigs were all into producing paper at the time, and it was anti-hemp as well. But I know post-prohibition, it became a big thing. But I think as you put it, industrial complex of it was really probably started in the early 70s, post-Nixon, when he declared marijuana the greatest threat against the fabric of American society.
Prisons, yeah. With the prisons rise and basically slavery for, modern day slavery. But I don't want to get off too much into that, because really
7 million Americans are somehow in the system, whether it be probation, jail, prison.
And then people are starting to pay attention more and more. I mean, at first it was like, you talk about the numbers of people incarcerated in the United States versus, other countries like China and, whatever. China, for example.
Exponential.
Like, we have more people.
Total.
But
not per capita, but total. We have more prisoners than they do.
But people don't believe that. They're like, holy cow. But now more and more they are starting to believe it. Thank goodness.
They have 5 times our population and half the prison population.
It's really ridiculous.
And
so but that's that. So that part of it, and I guess where I was going with all that is to say that, in calmly looking back, we can start to see a change in all this. You know what I'm saying? Because before I would have this conversation, I'd be just pissed off. I'd be trying to fire up the troops, be whatever. But now it's sort of like we see, we see a parting of the sea.
No,
it's sort of. It's and that seems strange to say, because there's a lot of people listening that are gonna have no clue what I'm talking about at all.
Right.
But just take a look at the Pew Research polls. Across the nation, how many people are all of a sudden just completely like changing their thoughts when it comes to the drug war and the war on drugs. It's not because that's not how they felt before, I guess you could say. Not completely changing their thoughts. They're just now comfortable coming out to be able to say that. Yeah, they can now talk with their neighbors about this is legal and I can do this and I can grow 6 plants and you know, before it was like, oh yeah, it's cool to be against drugs. Now it's like cool.
About voting constituents, and you look about the children of the 60s and 70s. I see them all the time coming into the store, and it's awesome because I see these 65-year-old men, ear-to-ear grins that they can just come in and set up some plants and talk about it. They've been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah,
but now they're talking about it, and it makes them so happy. And these are the voting constituents now, and it's okay for them to say that it's not bad. And you know, you have these scare tactics and strange videos that came out in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. You know, reefer madness based type stuff that I still know people that believe it's an intrinsically evil.
Oh
drug.
yeah, for sure.
But it's such the minority now.
What's interesting when over at the grow shop where I'm at, that I mean, it's really, I mean. What strikes me is that how many people have been growing for a while. That's one thing that strikes me. That don't necessarily know though what they were doing.
Yes.
Didn't look up on the internet. Don't have the internet maybe.
Right.
I mean seriously, looking at some of the people, I'm like,
everything they did
wow.
was from what a friend told them.
Yeah, and for real. And now they come in and they ask questions now, you know, and they're like, okay, what about this? You know, how about this? And
so this is a chart. This is my one of several charts we've put together. It's an Excel sheet on how to truly step a game up. We have everything from a 2-part system to this is my quote-unquote secret formula that I've been
this is something different than
pimping out for years in the underground.
People are probably used to kind of seeing something like this that the growers are used to seeing maybe a chart like this, but you know, they're probably used to seeing it either from advanced nutrients or GH or whatever, but this is multiple. This is not just one specific company.
It's really not.
And it's not even.
There's 13 parts, 7 different companies.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't stick to. I go with what I think is best, and it's ever evolving as well. But this is just. I have more simple versions of this as well. But people can come into a store now. You know, our store especially, in some stores at least, and get good quality information.
Yeah.
And people seem so overwhelmed. So I'm like, here's the chart. Follow the chart. You're going to do well.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like you can't some of the charts that are out, you can't really follow them. They're not like right.
That's why
and advanced nutrients for sure is not like right.
Most systems are getting better at it. The newer nutrient lines, say Extreme, Black Label, things like this, Psycho, they have pretty good instructions. House and Garden. But a lot of them still don't give you a large variance as far as, you know, on the bottom I have a lot of little nuances and subtleties.
Yeah, we'll get to those for sure.
Where it talks about, well, this is for an aggressive strength. If they're stressed, you reduce this. If they're not, you know, things like that. But the great thing is it's now is people can come in, they show you a picture on their phone and say, this is what's going on, what do I do? I'm like, you need CalMag. You know? But it's such an open forum now compared to even just a couple of years ago where you walk into a store and they're like, we can't talk about it. You know, like, how are your quote unquote tomatoes?
Yeah. It's still kind of sketch probably. It's so, you know, somewhat. I mean, some people are more careful than others.
Yes.
But at the same time, I mean,
well, the products are national. So most of the products are national, so they still have their own, you know, you can't directly sell this to cannabis growers.
Yeah.
But when the distributors come and talk to us, they give us the wink, wink. We know where it's all going. So, you know, we don't advertise, saying things like high times. You know, we're cautious about things like that. But and we do actually have a lot of hobbyist growers that come in.
Yeah.
But the bulk of them are looking to do this. And
I would say the bulk of almost every grow shop in Denver area, Colorado Springs area is like they're all their business.
We ship all over the country.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly crazy how much grow supplies are sold. I mean it blows me away. I am seriously blown away by the amount that people spend.
Wall Street is now on it.
Dude, it's nuts.
There are new mutual funds and IPOs going out where there are companies, big banks, buying pieces of dozens of grow shops here in Colorado, California, Washington, and then putting them in mutual funds to where in your mutual fund you can own all things that are cannabis related but don't sell cannabis and don't grow cannabis. And they Wall Street talks about how the hydroponic companies and the distributors of those things are where all the real money is now. And you can literally buy into shares of, say, a dozen or a half a dozen different hydroponic companies, and that's where the growth is. And
there's people that come in and they spend like thousands a day. Like seriously, like no kidding you. And that's probably like mid-range for things. And those are like just regular people that are probably just growing. I'm not even talking about a dispensary or anything like that, man.
I say the average hobbyist.
It's nuts.
Not the average hobbyist. I'd say the quality average hobbyist who's been doing it, say, a year or more. I'd say it's between $25,000 and $100,000 a year of an investment because now they're going all the way. They're doing everything from HVAC to quality ducting, and they're buying the high-end items, which actually are so much cheaper than they used to be too. You can come into our store.
We're talking about a hobbyist.
A whole light system for $200. It used to cost like $600, but
I agree.
But these guys don't hold back because they're successful at what they do. And I see these rooms, and I'm really impressed with these. I'm like, wow, that's some high-end HVAC you put in there, and dedicated 3.5-ton AC to a basement.
A lot of them need to up their growing ability, though. I mean, no offense. No offense.
I agree. And
there are so many people that go overboard, but then just don't have the basics down. And I mean, I'm not trying to nail on you, all right? Let's just say, hey, like, don't come into this thinking that
it's not easy.
Yeah, it's like, people who want to grow and own a farm or orchard or whatever it is, usually have been brought up in that, or they go to school for it.
Right.
Same thing maybe with cannabis. People have been, maybe brought up with growing or whatever, but at the same time, I mean, it's not something where, I mean, you have so many people now coming into it that grow houseplants. That had their houseplant, that now think they can come into a commercial grow commercially, grow 6 plants, have it make pounds and pounds.
Right.
I mean, for some reason, that's something that people think they can do. Some can.
But it's because everyone, quote, has a friend who told them blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly.
I find that most people who get into this have unreasonably low expectations because the friends that are already doing it or the people that they know have set the bar really low. And they say, well, this is what you're supposed. I was told that this is a good yield or this is good quality, and it's. I try to tell them like you should be getting 2 to 3 times more than that, and they look at me like it's some sort of voodoo magic. I'm like, no, it's a science, it's an art, and it takes time to develop it. And I said this to someone the other day, and I even heard myself saying it. I'm like, I'm gonna probably say it again. Have you ever heard a farmer tell you, "Oh, farming's easy"? It's pretty much, if on an industrial level, farming is probably one of the toughest jobs in the history of man and the oldest job in the history of man. And it is a version of that. And it takes a lot of time.
Somebody the other day was telling me that they thought growing would be boring. And I was like, what? I was like, no.
I don't like doing puzzles. So teach his own.
Yeah, I know. But at the same time, I mean, there are tedious things that are done. The worst part about being a grower is that there's no vacation, man. Like, you really can't take a vacation.
It is very difficult.
You got to have a trusted buddy, man. I never trusted anybody enough.
I tell people if you're going to do this full time, you grow 10 months out of the year because you have to decompress or you will burn out.
I did. Yeah, I think I did.
And almost everyone does. They get excited about it and they want to keep doing it. And the greed bone's like, wow, I'm finally getting good at it. But even if, say, you do it 14, 15, 16 months, take a couple of months off.
Dude,
I say the summer months are great, especially because of temperatures. The summer months are great to take off. Take off July and August.
Oh, hell yeah.
Don't worry about battling that horrible heat. Take that time, and then you'll come back with vigor because it's one of those things. It's kind of like having a child. You can't take a day off. It's not that kind of business. And yes, you talk about finding someone you can trust.
But even with a child, you have to take time off for yourself to reset. I mean, it's the same. I mean,
Some people don't.
To be an effective parent, you need to take time for yourself.
It's almost easier to find a babysitter than a plant sitter.
It's way easier to find a babysitter than a plant sitter, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. I mean, there was like maybe 1-2 people I'd trust to take care of Lasan when I was, when me and Luann were together. And even then I'd worry, but I mean, I didn't trust.
Be fine. Yeah,
I knew it was.
They're
gonna
not
going
to kill the baby. Like,
I know, but even
kill the
then,
plants.
It's not even kill the plants. I'd be like worried about that person like telling another person, and then I would just be that paranoid person of like we're being broke in on.
What's really cool is we're getting a technology now, and we actually have these called the Grow Commander.
Grow Commander.
Grow Commander. It's fully custom.
I like the sound of this.
It hooks up to your phone. It literally has every possible application you can do in your garden, and you can command it from your phone.
Oh, yeah, I've seen stuff like that.
You could set up cameras to where you're making sure your pumps are firing if you're in hydro, your fans are on, your lights come on. It literally will notify you. It's noon, your lights came on.
Nice.
And it'll show you can actually see your rooms because cameras are cheap now.
Yeah, I mean...
You need maybe one high-def camera to zoom in on stuff, and then, for like $1,200-$1,400, you can get cameras in your whole rig. And you're off-site recording it, so that's good for security as well. And what's cool, especially for hydros, I know a lot of people that run, say, ebb and flow tables, and they'll have 8 tables, so they're perpetually cropping, say, once a week. And those pumps go out a lot for whatever reasons. They don't necessarily break, but they clog or they don't fire, or one of them's slightly above the water level. And if you don't water an ebb and flow table for a day, that stuff dies. It just outright dies. And once those cubes get dry, it's bad. And so it's nice to know that your phone is telling you it's fired, the pumps are going. Here you can look at it, you can see it, the tables are filling.
Man, that's so trusting. I guess if that's something you got to do, you got to do.
For the amount of money that people are spending over the course of a year, this is maybe 10 or 15% of a yearly per diem. Now,
should go with it then.
Absolutely. And people that I know that are in commercial grows, they come in for something advice, and they're like, "Oh, I have this one plant and blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Well, can you bring in a picture?" And they're like, "I don't really need to." They go on their phone. Next thing I know, they have their camera. They're zooming in. Like, here's the plant. I'm like, nice.
That's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
That's pretty dope.
I'm like, yeah, you need some nitrogen.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I think technology is catching up with the business. I've been conceptualizing an app, a grow app, that similarly does the same thing, to where it not only keeps track of your plants, it shows you your plants, and you can have a spectrometer that will literally tell you deficiencies before they happen.
Really?
By the shades that the plants are giving off.
That's cool.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But
people
also,
out there are like, I don't need no stinking machine.
It keeps track of the nutrients that you're using, and it'll remind you, hey, in 2 weeks, you're going to need more PK, or you're going to need more phosphorus, or whatever it may be. And it literally will keep track of that. We can
Everybody
actually
should
hook
be
that up.
using that.
I agree. And then we can hook that up to our grow store, to where we'll ship it out to you. We'll let you know, just before you run out.
Oh, damn.
We're gonna deliver you. Here you go. Here's this. I guess I do need it.
Dude, that's pretty sweet. That's a nice setup right there.
Yeah. So
hell yeah,
it's pretty good stuff.
Man,
I like where it's going.
I haven't grown for a year and a half or so at least, and man, being at a grow store, having you in, talking about growing, man, it just doesn't. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I miss it all the time. It's like
I tell people who aren't
every
growing,
5 minutes, man. I'm like,
grow
damn.
one plant. Even if it's one plant, I tell people, I'm like, well, I know I can't grow it into space. Set up a 200 watt, one plant. Some sort of, like, if you're like, well, I don't want to. I'm telling you, it's a soothing.
If I had my own spot right now, if I was in a spot where I could do that, then I would do my 6 plants. I definitely would. I
don't have the access to it.
I have the light. No, I don't have the access to be able to do it right now because I do have the equipment. I mean, lights and an AC unit. And
200 watt LED. You don't even need to vent it. You don't need one light, one plant. And I'm telling you, it's not like it's not a moneymaker. You're probably just going to break even as far as how much you would have paid for the product, but it's yours.
I know.
But like I've grown one plant before, and I'm like, there's my buddy.
It seems but that's all it is. That's what it is, though. Is it becomes your buddy, and you're like, it's just super special greens, I guess. But at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, God, just one plant doesn't seem at all worth it. I want like 50 of these.
Of course. And I've worked rooms where there are 1,000 plants. And I've worked rooms where there are 6, and I've worked rooms where there are 1. and it's definitely a different kind of reward.
One big plant that's like 10 pounds.
I did one that was almost 6.
Damn. Was it screened out?
No.
No?
Total natural. It didn't even have a cage or it wasn't even tied up or anything.
Really?
Yeah, it was just on its own duration. I actually had 6 plants in my backyard a few years ago where I would show people on Google Maps. I'd get my address and you could see these massive.
What?
They're 8 foot by 8 foot plants.
That's not. Yeah.
And they actually Google after like 6 months or so blurred out my backyard.
What?
Yeah,
For
I
real?
guess, yeah, because I showed one day. I was like, oh my god, it's blurred out. I was like, that's awesome. Because I just kept showing people.
I'd be freaked out.
I thought it was funny.
Damn. That's nuts, dude.
Speaking of outdoors, I will say, and this is just something I've been, working in a grow store is so different than being a grower because you really get to know products and product variations, and you see all these other growers coming in and asking for items, and you're like, hey, what do you use that for?
Yeah.
I will tell you what, the future, which is pretty much nowish, is outdoors and greenhouses, particularly greenhouses.
I see a lot of people popping up greenhouses here.
Man, I will tell you what, your overhead is about 20% the cost. And production's phenomenal if you do your greenhouse correctly with environment controls.
Yeah, because you have to. I mean, you can't just.
You can get A grade in a greenhouse, truly.
Well, I understand that, but at the same time, you've got to have. You got to have like solar controls too. You can't just let.
That's easy. It's all there.
Yeah, but you have to have that in place because it's just. If one long ass.
You don't have. Yeah, there's single harvest greenhouses where you're starting in March. And
explain it to us.
Well, if you're going along with the season, a greenhouse which has minimum environmental controls to where you're gonna have your greenhouse kicking as early as March.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be cropping most likely in October and November.
A normal harvest type.
One huge
outdoor harvest.
Right, where it's like an outdoor, but it's more controlled, keeps out the bugs, viruses,
exactly,
things like that. I know people that grow anywhere from 25-gallon pots to 400-gallon pots.
But that won't work for the industry necessarily.
Correct.
The bigger parts will, but that just it won't work.
No,
that kind of season won't work. It'll only work for special, like say if like Jack Daniels or Stranahan's whiskey or whatever wants to release a special reserve. Right. I can see that happening then, but it's just not going to work.
I know people that are setting up greenhouses just to make Earl, where they're going to do the entire crop, an entire 300-400 pound crop, just to turn it into material and to have in the freezer to pull out all year round.
Oh, that don't surprise me.
To make shatter and things like that. But
there's shops that are popping up that are going to pop up here at the beginning of the year that are just Earl.
Yeah, Gaia and Philip Roja.
Are they going to do just Earl?
Philip Haig has an entire grow dedicated.
But there's just like I'm talking about like you're going to go to like the Earl shop. They're not going to have bud.
I got you.
They're not going to have anything else. They're just going to have a selection of every Earl that they can get their hands on now. Once the vertical integration goes away, is
right.
what.
Well, I do know that there are large grows that are dedicating all their flowers, top-notch flowers, to making oils. So I highly doubt it's going to be just one company processing.
Oh yeah.
They're going to be making probably 5, 6, 7, even close to 10 different types of extracts. We sell like
probably more than that. We
sell vape pens now in rigs at our store.
Yes.
And
dude, grow shops all the grow shops are starting to carry.
And I'll tell you what, man, we go through those those RX pens like so quickly, and everyone's like the what is it, the Vape RX?
Yeah, the Atmos RX.
The Atmos RX.
That's what this one is.
Yeah, and we actually have them like almost wholesale at our shop, just kind of as a little treat for the growers.
What's this? Almost at wholesale?
Just slightly above wholesale. Like we went to them and are buying directly from them.
Nice.
So it's like $50 cheaper than it would be in a shop for the good ones. We have them as low as like $32, and then like the high end ones, like with the extra cartridges and all that, are like the whole kits are like $89.
Dude, $89 for
the whole kit,
for
the
whole
whole big kit with the double extra cartridge and all that stuff, and then like
wow, dude,
we have like the bullets for like $30 and things like that.
Yeah, I'm hearing dude, that's awesome. GrowBigSupply.com.
Yeah,
so that's something else that I want to skip over is we're talking with Colin from Grow Big Supply. If people want to get supplies out of state, or if they want to get a hold of something, how can they do that? They just go to the website and order, or
we have a Facebook page, Grow Big Supply.
Okay,
and we've gotten I think 300 hits this week, 350 hits just this week, likes this week. We're exponentially growing. You can contact me, Colin, at Grow Big Supply. If you want to email me, you can message me at Facebook. We're not too hard to get a hold of. In state right now, and I'm not trying to say this in kind of like we're trying to just crush the rest of the market. We really are. our shelf prices start at 30% off. And I'm currently recruiting commercial accounts. And this is a guarantee, a promise, give it a name. Contact me and you'll see I will beat literally any price on anybody's prices, period. I don't care what you're paying. Show me a receipt. I'll beat it permanently. Even if
I forgot the camera was on me.
And I just recruited like 5 or 6 new commercial accounts this last week.
Sweet.
And I showed them our prices, and they're like, I'm being ripped off. They told me I was paying 10% above cost. I'm like, obviously not. But also we deliver. That's a big part. Like if you own a Prius and want 6 XXL hoods, that's complicated.
Dude, some dude showed up like that. I'm not even kidding you. Some
like
dude
strapped on his car.
Dude, seriously, some dude showed up in like these most ridiculous. I don't even know what it was. It was like a Prius, dude.
Yeah.
And seriously, it was like 6 Raptor hoods.
The
dude.
Raptors are huge.
Like I can't remember if it was 6 or 8-inch hoods.
Those are hard to get in like a SUV, let alone
Yeah, the 8-inch hoods, the box. Yeah. They're not heavy.
Duals. They're awkward.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with. My only problem with moving around those mamma jammas is just you can't get a hold of the box. You're like,
I got long arms. No,
yeah, dude, you have to have long arms.
Yeah.
Now here's something that I probably shouldn't say here. This is not necessarily funny,
but we're gonna.
There are a lot of Asians that grow in Colorado. I'm just saying there are a lot of Asians that grow here in Colorado,
particularly Vietnamese.
Particularly, and I mean,
there's a massive contingent of Vietnamese growers.
It's huge,
and they're very good.
And it's big,
they're
and they're
very good.
Lots of money, huge.
It's funded.
Now the only problem is,
I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, I fully understand the situation.
The bust from 2 years ago.
Oh yeah.
There's 35 grow houses.
The biggest bust in Colorado history. Yeah,
35 grow houses, all Vietnamese.
So
they own the entire housing complex.
Dude, everybody, like, there's so many people that are connected to it. So I mean, I understand that part of it, but the interesting part is, you think I have a problem with grabbing the hoods or lifting up.
When you're 5'2", 97 pounds, it's a little more challenging.
To
get the Lapta dual.
Okay, so I'm horrible.
How you carry a Lapta dual? I'm like, what? The Lapta dual. I'm like, do you mean the Raptor dual? And I'm not trying.
That was almost Russian.
Vietnamese. I have a lot of Vietnamese friends, but they do that. Here. They do say it the Lapta.
And yeah, dude, and so. And Sunshine number 4 is what they order a lot of. Sunshine number 4, which is...
So do I.
They can be like 60 to 80 pounds, depending on if it rained that day, if they were frozen. It just depends. And, dude, I hate them. They give me shit over at the store for it because I'm always like, oh. So the number 4s, man, I'm like trying to lift these things. There's no way in heck I could ever imagine one of them like stacking.
I loaded up...
That's horrible of me, but I'm
20 of those this morning,
true.
Actually.
20?
Yeah, you just get used to it.
Yeah, that's usually a day, or that's usually a couple hours.
I have people that come with trucks, like literally, and they'll order a pallet, and the next thing you know, they're like, "How much is a truck?" I'm like, 20 pallets, and they're like, "Yeah," and like, "We just get one of those." I'm like, "What?" And you really have to play it cool because I've seen some big grows before.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden, someone will be like, "Yeah, I need 60 lights and 20 pallets of cocoa." And you just got to play cool. You can't be like, wow, you're growing a lot of pot. Because they're like, really, dude? Like, you're just going to throw that out there, huh? So you got to just play it cool. Like, even yesterday, a guy came in and drops like $26,000 on an opening order. Just he's like,
jeez,
I need lights, I need this, and it was like a $40,000 order. And we gave him a huge discount, got it to him for like 26. And like, I have a couple of my other employees looking at me like, damn, that's a lot of stuff. He's getting 40 lights, man. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. You have to act like this is what everyone does, and that's not like they don't really want a lot of attention. But
yeah, exactly.
And these people to go rent U-Hauls and come in and stock it up. Sometimes it's 2 trips even in the truck, But it's amazing how it's changed. Because I remember 1998, there was 3 grow stores in town that were pretty popular, and when the grow store on Colfax, which is still in operation. I remember there was a DEA car parked across the street there pretty much 24/7, like taking license plates and stuff like that. And I know someone who got busted just for going to a grow shop. Mm-hmm. They followed him home, and that was probable cause, and arrested him for cultivation. They got a warrant just because he had gone and bought some lights at a grocery store, and now you have people coming in with 18-wheeler trucks loading them up, and it's a very different environment.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
A very different environment. I like it. You know.
And these supplies are not cheap, man. This shit's crazy expensive.
If you do it right, you know, if you do it right, it's expensive. It is, but it's an investment. You know, if you're gonna do anything right. But like I have a lot of new growers come in, people that are truly like, so I heard I could grow 6 plants. Is that true? And they don't know anything about anything, and those people can get out the door with everything, lights, nutrients, to get them through the first crop for under $300. So that's pretty cool. That part of it is cheaper than it used to be. But if you want to do a setup, like a real setup, lights, you know, air, all the ducting, the things like that, you know, you're typically looking at between $6,000 and $25,000 to get a pretty good setup, obviously depending on how many lights you're doing. I find the most common setup is about 8 lights. That seems to be a comfortable number with people.
8 lights?
8 lights, you know.
Like, is that veg and bud? 8
flowering lights, 2 vegging seems to be probably, if I had to like say, the most common.
Man, that's a lot of lights too, even. I mean, that for someone, that's a good amount of grow. I mean, I guess that's doing it right.
These are like caregivers or people who've been doing it for a while, and they've got it kind of dialed in, and you know they're coming in, and you know it's a common upgrade. They're going from whatever it was to, let's say, the new digital ballasts, things like that. But an 8 light setup with 2 veg lights, if you're doing it the right way, I mean everything done the right way, it's under 10 grand, you know, and assuming that they're not growing tomatoes, that turnaround on that's pretty quick.
Yeah.
You know, I just helped design a system that was 14 flowering, 4 veg. We did it for under 20, and that was with 3.5 ton AC.
How do you like to speak it? Because you mentioned the digital ballast.
Love them.
And by the way, everybody's buying AC right now. Fans and AC companies,
goodness,
alone in the industry making a killing.
We the AC, the HVAC.
Everybody like all of a sudden like they got hot as fark. I mean, way before anybody thought it was gonna, and everybody was like, "Dude, I need a 2-ton freaking cooling unit."
We
get
sold,
it now.
I think we sold a whole pallet of 8-inch inline fans, you know, to duct out.
Damn.
In like 2.5 days.
Yeah.
You know? And we have a lot of standalone air conditioners and wall units and things like that. But I suggest anyone who doesn't have central AC, if you're running more than 10 or 12 lights, get an actual HVAC person and set up an AC. Get a 3-ton AC outside, dedicated to your room.
I got a buddy that does HVAC too, by the way. He's very, very friendly.
You know, they all are now because
that's the
bulk,
exactly.
That's the bulk of their work.
He moved here though from South Carolina and was like, "Yo, I'm moving to Colorado. I want to be free. I want to smoke my greens. I want to be good to go." And then so
nice.
It's cool.
Nice. There's probably more HVAC work in Colorado now than there ever has been. ever. I know I've been using the same guy for a while, and he's good. He's just real quality. He's not cheap, but he really knows what's up. And when I first used him about 4 years ago, he was like, "Well, if you can get me any work, let me know." And now it's like I got to schedule him 2 weeks out. You know, he is just booked. And I'd have to say, just guessing, half or more of his work is purely houses or small commercial grows just needing, you know, upgrade their HVAC. And I think it's great. You know, people talk about the money this industry makes, but they don't take into consideration the contractors that are doing these build outs. They don't take into consideration that the HVAC guys, the electricians, the work that they have, even if it's 3-4 hours extra a day, that's a lot of money for these guys. It really is truly boosting the economy in a massive way. And not to mention housing rentals, you know, which is already kind of expensive right now. But when I first moved out here in '96, when you wanted to rent a house, they would advertise if the basement was finished. Now people advertise if the basement's unfinished.
That's like, what people are saying. They're like 420 friendly, you know, or something like that.
It's a big deal,
Yeah.
I actually saw a lease that said in the lease, "Are you growing marijuana? Is it medical marijuana?"
Every lease I've signed.
It's got a little thing where you put your card, you can photocopy your red card on there. I think it's hilarious.
I'd say hell no. You ain't getting my copy of my red card.
Well, that's to cover them.
I would say, look, if you need to be covered, you can come and get it when you need it. I wouldn't give up your red card at any point in time. I mean, that's just
fair.
Personal information. And also, just for protection of rights. I mean, the Constitution, the only people that are supposed to have access to your card.
Dispensaries, caregiver.
Yeah, dispensaries, caregivers, you, and the med. Or not the med. Reverse that. The CDPHE.
Yeah.
The Colorado Department of Health and Environment.
Which apparently is not really good with their records anyway, but that's a whole other story.
Man, between that and the DUI situation and the tax situation, holy crap. Like, nobody knew about the taxes? Oh, no, nobody knew about the taxes. While CSU was talking about numbers that are supposed numbers when we had the real numbers sitting right there the whole time.
It's so weird.
Wow.
And they were hard numbers. It wasn't like some speculative thing.
Oh, they did huge numbers. Like, we're going to cover this and then some.
I think it was $199 million in sales last year, retail.
Total.
I think it was 199
million.
Yeah,
total.
In retail sales.
And then like 89 in Denver alone.
Yeah.
Which estimated possibly $2 billion a year.
Yeah.
Industry after, year and 2 years we get into this.
It's real money. It's real money, especially for a state like Colorado, which is not that big.
Can I just get like 50 grand of that a year, maybe? I mean, that's a low number. 50 grand? You can't do shit with 50 grand anymore.
Well, they're talking about, with that 25% tax. I mean, now they're talking
I'm not voting on that. Now that I know the numbers are high and that we could figure this out without being taxed out the yin-yang, I'm not voting for that.
If it was projected, I think, at 2014, that would be over $100 million in tax. $100 million.
Was that the number?
Yeah,
we're way beyond wherever we needed to be. That's well beyond the 40 that we were supposed to give to schools, and I think that the MMED, or the Marijuana Enforcement Division, cut off the end there, is going to have quite a bit to sit on. They can have those nice $15,000 cushy chairs with the bling on them.
And I guarantee you're going to have the whole, where did the money go stories, in a year from now or 2 years from now. And, like, these guys are going to be rolling around in, brand new cars.
For real.
They talk how understaffed they are. Oh, we're so understaffed and we can't. You guys pulled in, what was it? I think it was $15+ million in sales tax alone last year for the state. You could get like a little piece of that to hire a couple more employees.
There's still people that haven't been fully licensed. That have applied for licensing.
Many.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
I know fully operational grows that have been going for close to 3 years now.
A while.
3 years have probably put out. I know one that has 600 plus lights, and they've just have their application in, and they're still going strong. But it's. I think a lot of it now at this point is they're not even trying, in the sense that I think they're waiting for everything to see what happens with 64, the recreational, and how it eventually pans out. I think a lot of things will start getting done after January 1st. I think.
Dude, I mean, after January 1st, none of us know what's going to happen. I mean, we have an idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, but we really
But
don't.
nobody has a clue.
Right. How it's going to come to fruition.
Yeah. Honestly, the only way that it can be at all what we think it is... I mean, the only thing, it's not even going to be... I want to say that, look, it's going to be this nice ease into everything, but no, it's going to be an explosion.
It is going to be an explosion.
See it. You already see how free people are using cannabis all over the city. It's crazy. I mean, it's like all of a sudden, before there was this switch flipped in Colorado that was like, okay, this is a freedom state. You can go here and smoke weed. Now it's like they flipped the whole damn power, like the big ass, lever with the two prongs, and it's like,
yeah.
And everything's just blown up.
How I see it is, we get a lot of families shopping in our store, and these aren't people doing commercial grows. These are people that are literally just trying to grow their own meds, give it a name. We call it meds now, but their own smoke. And you'll see this mother, father with their two kids coming in, and they buy a light, and they buy their, 6 pots and their bag of ocean forest. And it's okay that no one looks at them like, oh my God, you have kids and you're going to grow pot? Oh, everyone's all like, nice. Those kids are probably going to be cooler than the other kids.
Yeah. But at the same time,
they're not stoners though. These are just normal people.
But that's one side
don't want to pay for it.
That's one of the side of the things that we still haven't rolled over here in Colorado though, is because parents can still get prosecuted for having marijuana in their home.
No.
They can.
They're having it accessible to the children. There's two stipulations that I'm aware of, and I know that you're close with Warren.
Where's Warren?
And this is, I think I read this from
You
him.
cannot have a grow in the house, or you can be prosecuted for child abuse. For
can't-
child endangerment.
They cannot have access to the grow.
No, you can't have it in the house.
In the house.
You can't have it in the house. You put yourself at risk of child endangerment. They're prosecuting people for it. You really, I mean, it's a tough thing. If you grow with children in the house, you're putting yourself at risk for a child endangerment charge.
Now, I believe
which
you.
I understand what
I
you're
believe
saying.
you, but I was under the understanding that as long as they're locked, everything's locked.
So is
and
everybody
everything-
else.
And everything's separated. And then the children can't actually access the raw material or the plants themselves. And then I heard that with infants, it's or under 3 or whatever it is, as long as they don't actually test positive. Like they can actually test the kid.
Yeah. I mean, that's what everybody understood as the law rule being, but that's not necessarily the way it is. You can't have a grow in the house and expect to be kosher and get away with it. You can medicate around. You can medicate. You can't medicate around your kids.
Right.
But you can't have a grow. That's just what they're prosecuting people for that.
For sure. Like right now.
For sure, they're
there are
prosecuting people
currently in the system.
Yeah.
Not just under child services, but actually being prosecuted for child endangerment.
Yeah, I gotta take a break here in a minute because I gotta go use the restroom. I'll see if Warren is with a client or not. But yeah, you can come in.
I would love to get him.
You
in
can come in and explain it. But I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is. But it's something that you can run into as a parent right now still. So I mean, it's not like everything's been completely free.
So what do they say the danger is?
The grow supplies and everything else with the grow.
But
Pesticides, other things like that.
They can't access it at all. I mean,
it's not something that they're saying that they can't access. I mean, it's not. It's. Let me get something lined up here, and then I'll see if Warren's available. Yeah. I don't know if he is or not. He might have actually. I think he's at court. I think he took off to go to court. I'll see if Matt's is available because Matt knows the rules too. So we do have a few lawyers to choose from.
Nice.
It's good times. And then here in a second too, I'll get to some news, and you can chill with us with the news if you want. Also,
cool.
We'll talk about specials, maybe some products that you guys are seeing really fly off the shelves and people are using quite a bit of.
Oh yeah.
That's
also
something.
Want to promote our big party next Saturday.
Oh yeah, that's it, dude. We didn't even mention that yet. Damn it.
Party. We're actually, I'll just get it in real quick.
Yeah, get it in real quick.
We'll talk about it after next Saturday. We're having a.
I
had to finish my raffle.
We're having like a massive barbecue. Everyone's invited. It's the 22nd. It's from 2 p.m. till close, which is really like midnight. Free barbecue, free beer, product giveaways. Like our sponsors are coming, giving stuff away. It's gonna be awesome. We actually have go-go dancers.
That's what Mike was telling
right
me.
up the road. It's
Yeah.
right up the road.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Not from here, but from the house.
Yeah. I was looking at the address.
It's gonna be awesome. It really is.
So it's not this Saturday.
The 22nd.
The next Saturday.
Yeah.
All right.
It's gonna be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think I'm going to the Rapids game on Saturday.
We just expanded our warehouse to we're over 15,000 square feet now, and by far the largest hydroponic store in Colorado, probably the world right now. And we're having this massive graffiti contest as well. Really? So there's all these people in there, like at night, like doing these massive murals. It's so cool.
Awesome.
It's so cool.
Well, now we got Warren in here.
Yeah, sorry.
Warren Edson, make sure you check out Edson Maton and Matt's, warrenedson.com, criminal defense, family law, canon business consultation, trusted lawyer. We trust him. You should too.
Colorado Revised Statute 186401-4C1 is the dreaded thing we were bitching about this whole last legislative session. And as some of your regular listeners will remember, Tim, we sat here like complaining about we changed a bunch of shit, but not that.
Yeah.
Long of the short of it, it was written back in the meth lab days when there was the intense fear of the burgeoning meth labs. And it's overwritten because what it refers to is a child being in the presence of a place where a Schedule I drug is being manufactured.
Okay.
And so
But doesn't the Schedule I only apply to federal at this point in this state?
It's still, except marijuana Schedule I, both under state rules and federal rules. We haven't changed the schedule in either place. And they actually, the statute they cite is the federal scheduling guidelines.
Right.
So that would, long and the short of it, they just need to put some language exempting marijuana in this passage.
Is that happening anytime soon?
It is not happening. And Veronica Caprio, among others, have been working with some district attorneys trying to make some changes there. However, we ran into what we ran into last week in Jefferson County, where they were teaching a class on, the harm of grows. So there's ignorance there.
Talk
still.
about this black mold thing, like it's some sort of it creates mold. I'm like, there's about 40 other things that create a lot more mold than.
It appeared that the mold numbers outside of most residences were higher.
Because we use dehumidifiers.
Because stuff outside molds. But anyway,
right.
The problem here is it talks about the mere presence of the child. So, I could take my kid over to a friend's house, not even know there's a grow there, have the DEA kick the door in, and have us all potentially charged with child abuse.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it came to head, 2 years ago was a Lightfoot case?
Yeah, probably at least that.
Roughly.
Gordon, you're talking about Gordon?
Yeah. The good part is it's not charged very much because people recognize how ridiculous it is. The bad part is
it can be.
It's charged. Yeah, it can be, and it's charged when you're an asshole to the cops.
So basically, they're using it as leverage for a political situation. If they're out to get you.
The cops came. The CPS came into my place one time. When I was with my ex, with Luann and Lasan, and specifically said no grow. Didn't want the grow. Wanted to make sure that
they put it on paper.
Weren't smoking.
Is what you mean?
Well, I mean, they said this is what we don't. I mean, then this
you can't have it.
A few years ago, you can't have a grow
right.
while having a child. I mean, period is what they said, and. Also, everything else has to be out of their reach, locked up like you had mentioned. You can't be smoking around it and they can't have access to it. So,
sure, as all medicines should be.
Well, and that, that's kind of the general lawyer instruction is if they can't get in it, how are they going to charge it? But the horrible part about this is there's no required proof of harm. And that's all we're really asking the district attorneys to consider is either, completely exempt this or at least put in a requirement of proof of harm.
Is it genuine negligence or is it just,
Because nobody's saying bad parenting is a good thing. It's just more, this is ridiculous. I mean, you could have it in your basement in some kind of doomsday, bunker. That nobody can get in, period, that the kid's never in, and it's been filmed 24 hours a day for the last 7 years, and they could still charge you.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I know, Terry Robnett, a bunch of us, it was one of our pet peeves through numerous legislative sessions. But it's becoming, for me, an increasing pet peeve because now every Tom, Dick, and Harry over 21 in this state can have 6 plants. And nobody's telling them that they might be committing child abuse,
Yeah, that's just something that's a little bit, spooky.
Yeah.
And then I noticed that when...
Now, I'm pretty up to date on a lot of the legal stuff because you're one of my friends on Facebook. But as far as I know, and I think there's probably 99% of people that I know what they know.
That's what was spread around.
Is as long as it's locked and they can't access it.
Yep.
That's what was spread around, man.
Well, because, that's the common sense idea behind it. And it isn't until you look at this specific thing. Like all these lectures we've had at Castleman's that Cloverleaf has put together, been a common theme since the start of the discussion of 64. Why the hell isn't somebody addressing this? And it never freaking got addressed. I mean, I had an absolute meltdown in here in May?
Yeah.
Over this issue.
The reason why it's such a nuclear issue, man. I mean, it's an issue that it's something that would set off so many other discussions if we probably argued it heavily. So, there's a time and place, and I think it's coming. But I think if we would have maybe latched onto that quickly, then it I don't know.
Do you happen to
I can
know?
see the other side coming at us really heavy for being like, oh, you want to now have children around this? And
right.
Well, and it was weird because I was dumb enough to not expect a huge backlash from some of the educated prosecutors I know, like Stan Garnett. But we have received a little bit over the last couple months. Yeah. When the session ended, Veronica actually started to approach DAs and stuff and discuss, hey, this did not change, and this is just wrong.
I think Stan Garnett has an article in the new Hemp Connoisseur.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry.
Yeah, and I gave a quick reading. I've heard that there's a mention of this in there.
Okay.
But I didn't give it a full one.
I'll have to check it out. I just saw it
came
out
yesterday.
Showed
up last night.
Do you happen to know how many people were prosecuted under that statute for marijuana?
Right now, I am only aware of one.
this year, or in general? Or
Well, in general, one. I am aware of dozens and dozens and dozens
child
that it's
service.
well, that is a
involved.
hammer over their head.
Right.
I mean, where it's okay, you now have to get the kids out because of this. You know, I just know.
I'm surprised that's, if nothing else, abused by jaded divorcees.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, dude. Trust me.
And I think it's just because it's not known, and because once we helped out with a Lightfoot case, it was actually Attorney Dan Murphy's case, and he did a great job, and it went away. But part of our research with him was into the legislative history, and it's really clear it's for meth. I mean, when you pull up the legislative history, they're talking about meth chemicals.
I get.
And I mean, yeah, I mean that there really is apparent science
Right.
that shows there's residue
Right.
that's harmful.
Right. And if your ducting isn't correct, like those chemicals can seep into the house.
Yep. Well, but and for me,
I can see
the
your
lawyer part of
frustration.
me, it's just the harm part. How do we have something where you're guilty of it without any absolute showing of harm? Because I'm sure, like we're saying, would be really horrible ways to set up a grow, be it crappy electrical, be it leaving poison around, variations of that theme. I mean, frankly, one of social services' biggest concerns that we run in Jeffco is kids drowning in buckets.
I could understand that.
Hey, if you look, they even have little pictures on the buckets.
Every single bucket has one, dude.
Yeah,
The
the
kid
little
falling
picture of
in
some
it.
kid hanging over the bucket, and I just started,
his legs are flinging.
Okay.
I get that. But you have like a 30-gallon, like classic
Yeah.
30-gallon garbage
So-
pail reservoir, and they're like peeking in and falling.
I mean, they can get themselves in trouble a lot of ways, but there needs to be at least some proof that can happen
Use
for me.
shallow
You at
reservoirs,
least
people.
have to prove that.
Shallow reservoirs.
But yeah, I mean, but when you look, even the little Home Depot ones,
Oh,
have
yeah.
the picture of the little Dutch boy falling into the
Well,
the bucket.
In modern America, all it takes is one case, and all of a sudden,
it's-
everyone's going to die from this.
Dude, I'm telling you, man.
That's why Frank Azar's rich.
I'm a firm believer that there is going to be
That's why
bans,
he affords that
chemicals
mustache.
banned. The testing is gonna, in my mind, gonna set a whole new standard for products here in this industry, man. I think us here in Colorado, Massachusetts.
Colorado's pretty good as far as like pesticides, things like that.
But now that we require testing, the states that are now required built-in testing, these labs are gonna not only be, can labs and other spots are not only gonna be sitting there, specializing in learning about the CBDs, THC, all that other stuff, but they're gonna start specializing in the residuals and all that other stuff that comes
When
with
we
it.
think we'd see university research, but
and that's another thing.
discussion we keep having.
But see, that's another thing. And wasn't that a part of like Amendment 64 where we had to start researching, or we had to at least
Not in that
I don't
manner,
know.
but yeah.
You gotta go.
It talks about training classes and stuff for law enforcement using the data and things like that and social services.
By the
but
way,
we'll see.
feel free to post any legal updates or relevant information you have on our Grow Big site. That'd be great.
And I'll let some of the because I'm kind of just the legal research guy for the team that have been working on this topic that so pisses us off. Because I mean, this is really like Terry and Veronica's baby. But I'll see you guys later.
right.
And I now have to go I finished raffle. Now I have to go do bingo.
For what? For the
I'm doing the online state training so that I can be.
Oh, okay.
I have to be a gaming manager for a number of events. And,
yeah. For
So
a
do you have to get
fundraiser.
licensing for gaming license?
Dude, if you're gonna have fundraisers and stuff like that, you
That's
have to have
hilarious.
now have to get licensed and shiz.
Seriously, man, I just took an hour-long video course where I had to pass a 3-part test and score at least 70%.
Did you get 70%?
I did, and I just passed. That's why I was waiting to come in here, because I had to get through the last few questions. But now I have to. That was only part 1, because that was as to raffles. And I could stop now, because raffles like a subcategory, but I figured I might as well go finish
Do
the,
it. Yeah.
the bingo and pull tab.
So,
what's a pull tab?
tab.
Pull?
Pull tab.
Like a pull?
I guess.
tab.
I know what a pull tab is.
I haven't
but
gotten
what
to
is
that class
for...
yet in
All right,
regards to gambling.
Yeah, let me know what
Obviously,
it
that's
is.
part of the 30% you got wrong.
Yeah, no, I haven't
No,
gotten
he
there
hasn't
yet.
gotten to it. You have to let me know what it is, though. That's
I will,
crazy.
But yeah, we'll get there. Anyway.
Freaking A. We're try to have some event coming up here soon or
So
something.
the poker games
with
at your house?
iCannabis
Is that
Radio.
what you're
Yeah.
saying?
dunk, dunk, dunk. But I'm actually my neighborhood is Old San Rafael, which is just below your store. It's like from 20th on up to that point where Downing and Welton meet.
Yeah.
So it's from Downing over to Welton 20th up in that diagonal.
Nice little spot.
Yeah, we have a huge block party in September. We had about 1,500 people last year for our first one.
Nice.
And yeah, we didn't have a raffle because we found out that, the
Did
nasty
CBI
attorney in the
cite you?
neighborhood came through and went, guys, you can't have a raffle. And they went, what? Huh? Did you take the class? I didn't take the class.
Isn't CBI in charge of that?
Yeah. No, actually, it's Department of Revenue.
Yeah, the revenue is the gaming department.
Because they're not diluted enough. They need
Dude,
more things.
they're in charge of like everything in Colorado.
I'll do you one better. You know who's in charge of it? We all know him well. Dan Hartman.
Dan Hartman. Yeah, he
removed from med.
Yeah, he went to the
gambling,
gaming.
and what's left in gaming? Well, he's not in charge of the casinos, so what's left? Bingo.
Dude, are you serious?
It's almost you feel like that's a punishment.
And horse racing, which is now
punish
closed.
him.
It's like traffic
For
duty
overspending the
Horse
money,
racing,
dude.
which is closed, and dog racing, which is closed.
like
So he
traffic
does the
duty.
off track.
You got traffic duty.
The couple off track places, and the guys like me taking the bingo test.
That's just.
I feel bad for Dan, man. We've had Dan Hartman here on the show a couple times.
Good guy.
Man.
Anyway, I do have to go finish
All right,
it.
yeah.
Talk to you.
I got to use the restroom here in a second too. I'm gonna play a bed here. I'm gonna play a commercial and a bed. I'm gonna go use the restroom. I'll be right back though. This is John, the radio show, hanging out with Colin. Colin, you hang out here for a minute too, because we get to news, and then also we can talk about other stuff with it too. So, woo! It's a JDR.
All day long we see those commercials. Here's your brain on drugs. Just say no. Why do you think they call it dope? And then the next commercial is this buzz for you.
I smoked weed and nobody died. I didn't get into a car accident. I didn't OD on heroin the next day. Nothing happened. We sat on Pete's couch for 11 hours. Now what's going to happen on Pete's couch? Nothing. You have a better shot at dying out there in the real world. Driving hard to the rim, ice skating with a girl. Now you want to keep yourself alive? You go over to Pete, sit on his couch till you're 86. Safest thing in the world. Me? I'll take my chances out there. Call me reckless.
John Doe Radio.
It's okay, relax. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey, Dave.
Wow, try it. Like a good neighbor. Just say it. State Farm is there.
With the bag of weed.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, hash oil and tincture.
Nice.
How much higher can you get?
Hanging out with you on the John Doe Radio Show.
Psychedelic Price is Right? Is that what that is?
Colin, it's the old school Price is Right.
Nice.
So yeah, kind of. I think it is the 70s Price is Right.
Oh, yeah.
Bed there. Colin from Grow Big Supply. Check out growbigsupply.com. What's the address of your store here in Denver?
I should know this. 4501 Wine Coop. It's basically right at I-70 and Brighton Boulevard, across from the Denver Coliseum.
I was like, you don't know your own?
You can't miss us. Well, it sounds like I write us letters.
It's like your phone number and shiz. Like nobody remembers their phone numbers anymore because it's just like, Duke.
Yeah. Check out our Facebook page, though. It's
at
Grow Big Supply.
4501 Wine Coop Street in Denver, 80216. Growbigsupply.com is the website you can go to if you want to find out more information. And as we were talking about, Saturday, June 22nd, from 2 to 10, they're having an awesome barbecue, graffiti battle, Go-Go Girls after 7.
Free beer.
Wait, is that Go-Go Girls just girls? Is there dudes there too? Because like
Go-Go
me and Argue
dudes?
were like
Go-Go dudes.
Mike argued that Go-Go dancers, Go-Go dancers were girls, and that they weren't. That dude Go-Go dancers were strippers. And I was like, there's dude Go-Go dancers
in America. Okay, I'll just say this.
There's gotta be.
Have you ever seen one? Or directly heard of one?
I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of a movie or something. I don't know.
Strippers.
Man,
no one
I love
wants
them
some
strippers.
dude to just
Man,
like...
I love them strippers. Some 2 Chainz.
Yeah, I know. He just got robbed the other day. Did you see that YouTube of it?
I saw the video.
His posse.
Dude, if somebody
did
shoots at me
so quick,
obviously nobody had a gun.
He had 3 bodyguards standing behind him, and they all ran as soon as the guy pulled the gun out.
Yeah, they did leave him alone. He did get his ass got left alone fast.
They went one way, he went the other.
But see, here's the thing though: if somebody's got a gun and I ain't got a gun, like obviously none of his crew had a weapon.
Actually, I'm not even gonna run. I'm like, what do you need?
Dude, but the guy just came up and shot. Was just
Midday.
like came up and goes, bah!
Yeah, midday.
Like just shot at him, and that's why they all ran. And then one dude fell over, and the gunman went over and robbed him of his wallet, and then ran off.
His balls.
It wasn't even like he didn't even point the gun at 2 Chainz. He pointed at the dude that was in front of 2 Chainz, and then go.
I'm pretty sure that was some sort of drugged out. I think I'm gonna rob these dudes.
Yeah, for real. And it's
midday, San Francisco. That's weird.
What makes me happy? Nobody got hurt. Number one, and number two, that nobody in his crew or 2 Chainz or anything had a gun. Because I tell you what, if somebody shoots at me and I've got a gun, there's a reason why I'm carrying around a gun. I'm gonna pop you, dude.
Right.
So that's why there's no like. Dude, that's what sucks about carrying a gun.
A posse. One of them
gun
is going
laws.
to be a trained bodyguard with a gun.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. And that's why
like
perfect
a
reason.
licensed.
Perfect reason right there why I fully believe in gun laws and gun rights, or not gun laws as being completely taken away. I think you should have the right to bear arms 100%. We can't go backwards.
We do.
Well, I know we do.
Do you know anyone who's
but there
ever
are some
been denied
states
for a gun?
like New York. I can't get a gun.
Okay, but is there? I assume there's legal background reasons.
Because
for
I'm a
that?
felon, but I've already served my time. I'm a not. You could call me a violent felon because I'm a drug felon, but I have a felony for marijuana.
I understand that,
which should not exempt me from.
There are a lot of things that felons can't do in this country, and that's kind of
which are unconstitutional in my heavy opinion. Some states felons can't vote.
Yeah, but when you signed that plea agreement when you signed that plea agreement, you said that you would abide by it.
Yeah, but I'm abiding by rules that are forced onto me. I mean, that are non-constitutional rules.
Did you take a plea agreement?
So either you take... But see, here's the thing, is even if I wouldn't have taken the plea agreement, if I would have gone to court, been convicted,
right?
Period. I have to follow the rules that are unconstitutional. Period. End of story. I didn't agree to these. It's not something that, like, you can sit here and say, oh, hey, I'm going to pick and choose this. Like, you're not going to put this rule on me, even though it goes on everybody. It's ridiculous.
I think there are a lot of exceptions to carrying a gun if you're a felon, but at the same time...
Oh, yeah, if you're a violent criminal, you shouldn't...
I understand that.
You shouldn't necessarily be allowed to carry a gun. But at the same time, bans overall across the board, the drug war and the situation that we put yourselves into.
I think it's over mediafied. The actual taking away the guns thing. Everyone I know that's not a felon that wants a gun, any kind of gun they want, they can get it.
But it's the degrade. Well, you can get a gun. That's what I'm saying. Is like the ridiculousness of trying to put people in a position to where they have to do something illegal. If you want to get a gun, you're going to get a gun.
I'll tell you this though: don't have a gun at your grow.
And that's another thing, a whole other thing with it too that I'm talking about, and why. See, I'm just seeing what I'm seeing, and I don't want to get too far off onto this topic, but what I'm seeing is a degradation of our rights to bear arms. And
I don't see it. I think it's media.
Completely see it. There's places like New York where they have extremely strict gun laws right now. There's 25 murders in New York this past week or something like that.
Right, but that's been going on for a long time, and that's New York City. And all they're saying is you can get a permit to carry in New York City. All they're asking is if you bring a gun into the city, if you're not from New York, if you come into New York,
is that what it is?
With an unlicensed gun, they're going to prosecute you, Plaxico Burress. They're going to prosecute you.
I don't want to get too much into the details of any of that. But I'm not like one of those people that's saying, like, oh, they're coming in to take my gun, period. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm also the type of person that thinks people should be able to recreationally have fun with. This is a free damn country. Now, it sucks that people come in to a situation and unload automatic weapons on people because they have issues. I don't know. Just I'm going to piss so many people off because we got so many Democrats listening to the show. No, I'm kidding. I just don't think that should be a right to take away from somebody that wants to go in the middle of the desert and just shoot 1,000 rounds into a tree or a cactus.
All I'm saying is you can.
Well, you can't, though, necessarily. It's hard to do.
You feel free to go to the desert.
It's expensive, extremely expensive to be able to do that if you're going to do it legally.
Well, even
not even the bullets. to get licensing like that, the weapons themselves, are ridiculously expensive because I see what you're saying. This is not a gun talk show.
I think it's overblown a bit, but anywho's
maybe it is.
I just think it is because everyone I know who wants them gets them. Anyways,
not me.
So hit our Facebook page up. It's Grow Big Supply. Like us because that'll make me feel good about myself. And it's all about the self-esteem, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, dude, trust me, I know that. Free beer and grand prize given away at 10. All of it's free. 4501 Winecope Street, Denver. 80216. GrowBigSupply.com. GrowBigSupply.com.
The daytime, like from 2 to about 6 or so, is gonna be a little more family oriented.
Cool.
And it won't get. We have DJs also playing the whole day as well.
Tons of DJs.
It's going to be like starting off with top 40 type stuff, and then it's going to get a little more clubby, I guess you could say, towards the nighttime. And if there's still people partying down there, we're not going to close up. We're not.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think they expect to go till midnight. We're open till 10 p.m. every night anyway.
Sweet.
So, 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day.
Man, I wouldn't want to work till 10 p.m. though.
I was closing for a while. I was really working till 11. Now I open, but I got to be there at 7:30. But we have those extra hours.
You guys don't work on stoner hours.
Actually, we do. You'd be surprised.
You work on the professional stoner hours.
Right. Oh, well,
I should be careful what I was going to say there.
The 8 a.m. are usually the people who need stuff before the dispensary type warehouses open up. And the later people, you'd be surprised. We get a lot of that 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. traffic of people that work at night, and like a lot of people's lights are on at night. And then their lights come on. They realize they're out of whatever, Hygrozyme. And then they're like, oh, man, you know what? That one store's still open.
Yeah.
So
people are like lined up at the door every day in the store. It's like crazy how many people are like want.
We're actually going 24 hours in a couple months.
You are?
24 hours with delivery.
Holy shiz, man.
We're taking over, man.
That seems ridiculous.
24 hours.
That's crazy.
45,000 square feet.
GrowBigSupply.com.
And deliveries.
Listen, you got this chart here that you handed me, and there's like two different groups. I'll go over this real quick. I mean,
that's for soilless and cocoa. That particular chart.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aggressive chart in the sense that the ppms are pretty high. It's for strong, healthy plants. And on the bottom, there's different recommendations as far as lowering it if they're stressed or not able to handle it.
And people can go. They can get. You have this chart available at the store.
I think it's actually on our website right now. If
and
not, it's going to be up soon. And we're going to have lots of different charts. This is my secret formula. It's not really a secret since I have it printed out and I'm giving it away. But everything from very basic two-part systems to organic systems to where if you want to interchange, hey, I don't like this particular brand. We can give you a different base if you don't like general hydroponics and things like that. And then what you can do is that's for 1 milliliter per gallon. It's on Excel. So you say what your reservoir is, you put 60 in, and boom, then you have everything just converts.
Nice.
Instantly. So, I would say if you're going to go with one of these systems, come on in. Let's talk to you about it too. Because there's a lot of, if you're going to a big system like this, there's a lot of nuance and subtlety.
So you got on here micro and grow. Those are the general hydroponics.
General hydroponics. We have micro, grow, bloom. Those are it's a 3-part system. That is your base to what I found is the highest yielding base system. It's also very cheap.
What do you think? It's definitely cheaper than House and Garden. What do you think? House and Garden to me is number one.
No, crushes House and Garden.
You think so?
I've already done a side by side. I have someone right now doing in cocoa, both.
GH crushes.
GH is crushing the House and Gardens. It's probably 30% higher yield.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's maybe a third the price.
Wow.
Having said that, if you like House and Garden, we carry it. Come on down.
So that's micro, grow, and bloom. I don't know how many 6 gallons of those things.
I do love
so freaking heavy of that crap.
I know, and the handles are shitty. Like those cheap plastic handles. Like put a real handle on it. That thing's heavy.
They don't want to put a real handle on it. We never get
50 pounds of liquid. Can I get a handle, please?
We never get the spouts either for the damn things.
Spigots. They come in 55 gallon as well.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah, right? Try moving that. You definitely get a delivery if you're getting one of those.
I need a special truck, a water truck.
You know what I love from House and Garden? The Roots Accelerator. I think that
everybody loves that.
Is awesome.
Yeah, everybody loves that. Even Advanced Nutrients came out and said our product sucks. You should go buy House and Garden.
Roots Accelerator. Yeah, it really is good. I use it from the beginning all the way to maybe week 4 of flowering.
I've never used it.
Just better roots. Period.
I'm gonna start using it.
That along with some sort of microzyme, and
I think microzyme is the very best thing that you can add to your mix.
Agreed.
It's probably especially one of the most crucial things.
Complex microzyme.
I saw so much better plants. My plant yield,
amazing.
The plant health, everything. Being able to steer. It was here's how I take things. It's like hydro is sort of like you're driving a Ferrari, and it's harder to correct, sometimes when you're driving that Ferrari, a little bit more steep of a learning curve. And then you get into the soilless and soil, and that's a little bit more, a little
more forgiving.
Yeah, a little bit more forgiving. A little bit slower, a little bit, of
not much slower though.
It's like driving sometimes driving a bigger truck though, but at the same time, if you can get that,
it's like a sport SUV.
All right, get your root base built up. you know, and form that, you know, that myco and that mycelium, get those that just
huge.
completely pack that system going there. I mean, that uptake of nutrients and everything else, I mean, it improves your plant and your outcome so much.
I was reading an article about how the mycorrhizae works in different ways, and it's actually a communication system for the roots as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
And that's a whole nother thing.
It
Is what
literally sets up a hard grid that roots can communicate with each other. Like, hey, there's more moisture over here. Hey, there's more nitrogen over here. Where some roots will work more efficiently than others, or
that's
they'll
being
shut down.
heavily studied right now, and something that we've. I mean, over the years that we've done JDR, I've heard just multiple. And Derek at one point in time was reading this study and talking about how roots communicated with themselves. You know,
They click.
If one root, you know, roots
like
get
a
chopped
Morse
off
code.
here, you know, it's like another one that makes up for it over here, and it's
They
crazy.
showed a 1 acre cornfield to where they've released a certain type of aphid on one part of the cornfield. Now, this was a heavily rooted and had all the different quality funguses, bacteria, blah, 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 whatever. So they released an aphid on one part of the crop. Within 30 seconds, the entire crop released a hormone that fights aphids.
Damn.
So it is truly a communication system like that. I thought that was pretty cool. But,
stuff like that is crazy.
yeah,
Not
it's
into
good
the
stuff.
GMO stuff necessarily, because everybody's scaring the crap out of me with that.
Everything's GMO'd already.
I know, that's what I figured is. I mean, how can you find anything?
Unless you're growing natural Colombian sativa or a true Afghan.
No, I'm talking about
strain.
even real food.
I know
Like
tomatoes, but you got to realize.
Oh, you're talking about tomatoes.
Anything. No, it doesn't matter what it is. We've been modifying it for a long time. Now they're just doing it at the genetic level. But like corn is grass.
Corn is one of the worst things you can eat, period, anyway.
It's not good for you. But it's the Aztecs.
Actually, one of the only
and
things
Mayans,
it takes away from your body.
They genetically modified it from a grass. They just kept, breeding it and breeding it and breeding it. I think GMOs are a little. I think
could
people
be
are
wrong on that corn thing.
It's not the best vegetable, but I think people are a little overreacting. It's like the whole concept of organic versus not organic. There's no real definition of what organic is.
Yeah,
you know?
It cracks me up when people come in and talk about organic and they say something like, oh, and then I see them the next week coming in to get like Eagle 20. And I'm like,
I know, right? Yeah. You're like, I use Forbid, Avid, and Eagle 20, but I'm all organic. I'm like, well, that's great. It's just like eating a vegan diet, but pouring poison on your vegan diet.
Yeah, nothing.
You know?
Ridiculous.
So, as speaking of organics, though, we're looking at that list. The Floralicious Plus. That's one of my favorite ingredients and favorite products of all time, by far.
So we've got through the micro, grow, and bloom.
Yeah.
So the grow and the bloom we already know. What is the micro? Just to add extra nutrients.
The 3-part balance system. The micro is dominant in nitrogen. The grow is dominant in potassium, and then the bloom is dominant in phosphorus and potassium.
Can you go without one of these?
No.
All three of them. You need all three of them.
You need all three of them. Maybe the last 2 weeks you can grow without the green, but they're made to go in a symbiotic relationship.
I see.
They have a fluoro duo, which is a 2-part version of it, but it's just better to have this because if you look by piece, I do manipulate each one, by a couple mils here, a couple mils there, and it makes a difference.
I see what you're saying. So what if you go with the grow and the bloom, but add some, nitrogen, add your micros.
The thing is the micro. It's 5-1-2 is the NPK. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So there are other PKs in there, but it also has things like magnesium, calcium, other things, and there are a lot of macronutrients in these things as well. They are made to go together as a 3-part system.
Okay.
And most bases nowadays are 3 or 4 parts.
If you wonder why you're not getting what you're getting, you're probably not following exactly what is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Roots Accelerator.
That's from House and Garden.
That's what we were talking about a minute ago.
I used to use Rapid Start, which is really, really nice product from General Hydroponics. I find Roots Accelerator is better. I think it's the best rooting agent I've ever used. I do a lot of side-by-side tests where I use it, don't use it in one pot.
Yeah.
And then I'll pull out the root ball, and it's not even close. And and I don't care if you're in hydro, soil, soilless, cocoa, it doesn't matter. It's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Protect
is just a silica. Every company has a silica. That's just the brand that I choose to use. It's a good price point.
And everybody should be using silica, I think, in Colorado for sure.
Anywhere. I mean, you're increasing the cellular structure inside of your stems, which allows a stronger stem, a thicker stem, a bigger bud. It also allows absorption of carbs through those stems. And, you know, it's one of those things that if you don't use it, will you get good buds and good creel? Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
But if you're outdoors, you need it.
For sure.
If you're indoors, look, there's several things on there that you can still get really, really good quality and high yields without.
Yeah.
This is the extra 3 or 4%. Each one of those may only add 2 or 3% or 5 or 6%. But if you're a true connoisseur and you're trying to break records as far as yields, just crushing what everyone else gets, each one of these does have a contributing factor.
So, and then something that a lot of people, I mean, it's kind of a secret, but not a secret. Cow mag, which is, I mean,
cannabis uses more magnesium than any other plant on the planet.
A lot of people don't use it, but then the people that do use it, I usually, when I pick their brain, they know what they're doing.
It's one of those things that there are,
or they've been told very well.
Depending on your base system. So actually, there's a good amount of calcium and magnesium in general hydroponics, and there are some strains that you can get away with it not using it. But particularly chem dogs, they really need a lot of extra magnesium. But overdoing calcium, when you overdose calcium, it actually stores in the stems and makes them stronger and better stems. Phosphorus and calcium are the two things you actually want to overdose to some extent. Magnesium is one of those things that most originally came out because no nutrients, say like if you want to just get something over the counter like 15 years ago, that none of them had enough magnesium. But if you're in cocoa doesn't retain magnesium very well, so you definitely have to have it. And overall, it's just one of those things. It's not that expensive. You don't have to use that much of it, and some of it's a preventative having magnesium deficiency. It's one of those things. Once again, it may only add 2, 3, 4%, but there's not a single product on there that doesn't pay for itself tenfold.
Yeah. That's completely understandable. Next one on here is the Hygrozyme, which I've used quite a bit, man. That's like
amazing.
Yeah, it's an awesome product.
It's expensive.
It is expensive. You can't use too much of it with. I mean, if you use too much of it, you kill off your micros.
No.
Your micros?
No.
No.
It is not a zyme that it does not affect.
Because that's what I was told is that you can
you can
overdose on it.
Mix it in the same batch. If you mix it in the same reservoir, they say that you should have low, it says 8 to 10 mils per gallon on the bottle. If you stick to about 5 or 6 mils in the actual same reservoir, it won't have any effect on the
that's right. And then
but once it's actually in the media,
your potash will kill your mycorrhizae. That's what I was thinking of, I think.
But Hygrozyme, it can in crazy levels. If you mix them in together in the same water reservoir, now remember this is for soilless or cocoa, to where once it's in the media, the Hygrozyme has no effect on your probiotic.
Now the Hygrozyme you can drink and get drunk off of.
I did not know that.
No,
that's some expensive stuff.
I don't know. It smells like.
We'll get some 40-year-old cognac.
It smells like fermented wine, it smells like
it's fermented plant matter.
It's fermented for sure.
It is.
It smells like definitely you get drunk.
But it reconditions.
But I thought that maybe it used at high doses that it could definitely be bad for your system that you've got it. Yeah.
In hydroponics, you want to keep it at about half strength for that very reason.
Yeah.
And then, so in hydroponics, you want to keep it at about half dose. 5 mils per gallon is good. If you're mixing it in your reservoir, what I do often is I will alternate my Hygrozyme with my Mycos or whatever Mycorrhizae I am. But if you look at that chart, in the beginning, I have it at a high amount, but then I have it at 5 mils per gallon. It says 8 to 10, but we found that about 5 mils. It has no effect at all on the probiotics.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was usually given. It was like just 5, 10 maybe at the most.
And what it does is it reconditions your roots. Any roots that turn brown, that turns them white again, and also breaks down the older root matter.
Yeah.
It really is an amazing product.
Yeah.
If you're in rockwool, it's unbelievable. If you have any issues with rockwool and your roots turning brown, and you leach it in some Hygrozyme.
Yeah.
Oh my God, everything's just white within 2-3 days.
Nice.
Yeah. It's all about the roots.
So Orca Liquid, which is something newer.
It's just a liquid version of Great White Shark.
Which contains just a bunch of.
It's all funguses, mycorrhizae. You can interchange that with one of 5 or 6 different products. The reason I went with the liquid is because I was using 240-gallon reservoirs, and then the great white shark would be settling on the bottom, and I'd have to agitate it every 10 seconds to even get it mixed in right.
There's not a lot of powders that dissolve well.
Not natural powders.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
I like Cool Bloom Dry, which is also on there. That dissolves fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the only thing.
But that's because it's not a natural product.
Like I remember, I use Bud Blood a lot.
That's a badass product.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's very expensive. Very expensive too, and it'll dye everything pink.
Pink, yeah. But that's just food dye, though.
That dyes everything.
Yeah, they just
pink.
make it look like it's blood. It's just food dye.
That shit, man. I'd put it in there and I'd let it sit for a little while, and then I'd shake the gallon just a ton. Because, dude, it doesn't dissolve very easily at all. It sucks.
I used to use something called Earth Juice. It's like
I use that
like
stuff
late
too.
90s, and like I had it in hydro, and I'd find like clumps of it, like actual clumps. I'm like, I don't think that's really as soluble as they say it is.
I've heard that too. Yeah, it's interesting. And then Big Bud, I've had issues with too. You got to make sure that you don't, make a big old clump of that, and then the powder, and then put it in your shit. You got to kind of like shake it out and like.
I will say for advanced nutrients, we have a buy two get one free going on.
Buy two get one free
all the time.
For advanced nutrients, all the time.
Always.
Holy shiz.
Just,
you gotta advanced nutrients things. You gotta use lower ppm. You burn the shit out of your plants.
Sure do.
But if you use it right, I mean, tons of people bag on advanced, but it's a great line. If you use it right and do what you're supposed to do with it.
Sensi Grow, Sensi Bloom are excellent bases.
As far as flavor, it's not the best. That's
correct.
I tried to deny that for a while, but I've heard it from multiple people.
But you can fix that though. Like GH on its own is doesn't have a good distinction like of flour. Like a lot of the flours are similar, but once you add enough ancillary products, then it becomes great. So like if you want to use advanced nutrients, well then you have to go outside advanced and maybe add an age-old organic to it.
Yeah, because I definitely mixed advanced with other stuff. Like, I wasn't using their.
I would use the Floralicious Plus.
Yeah,
they're from General Hydroponics,
and they have like piranha and other micronutrients and
they're
stuff
good
like that.
They're good. They're good.
But there's better quality out there, I think.
Yes.
So
I love their Bud Candy.
You like Bud Candy?
Love Bud Candy. There's two reasons.
I liked it before they redid it, when it was a lot thicker.
Yeah, they put a lot of B vitamins in it.
It was like Cushy Kush and Bud Candy were one, and then they separated like Cushy Kush. So.
Their breakdown's different. They're using grape juice and cranberry juice extracts, fermented yeast. I think now they put in there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But they also have a whole spectrum of B vitamins. I looked up why they would have them in there. B vitamins help to metabolize those particular fructoses.
Yeah, exactly.
So it actually does. It's not just carbs, but it also increases the metabolism of the uptake of those particular carbs. And I also use Raw, the Sweet by Botanicare, which I love. Which it's got like 2 ingredients on the label. I looked it up. There's actually 34 ingredients in it. It's got the whole branch chain amino acids in there for plants.
That's because when you look at the Sweet, it's like it doesn't look like it has anything in it.
Yeah, you have to look it up. What happened? There's a lot of regulations that don't allow them to list these things.
Really?
But
Sweet Raw is like the best too, I think.
Oh my God! As far as resin and flavor, there's nothing that helps better.
Nothing sells as much as that too. I think it's like sells like off the shelf like
flies.
Crazy.
And it's expensive too, but it flies. Flies.
People still use molasses too, like
in soil. That's fine.
They make that raw, but see, I don't. But from what I've
soil,
always
not soilless.
Really, yeah, that makes. But see, that's what I've been told is that the molasses has sort of been edged out here. I mean, there's products that make up for it.
Outdoor, it's great. Soil, it's okay. Here's why.
So the plants can break it down.
Absolutely. Right. You have to get unsulfurated. That's the key. There's a lot of sulfur in natural sugarcane molasses.
Which is GH makes the.
Yeah, Botanicare makes.
Or Botanicare makes
strapped
the
molasses.
strapped
it's like
raw.
$10 for like
raw.
5 pounds of it. I would use that for outdoors or greenhouses.
All right. And I mean, why soil versus soilless?
Because a lot of those things I was mentioning that are in Sweet are already in those soils.
Well, I mean, also the soilless can't break it down as easy. I don't think that's part of it.
I agree. It can clog it slightly. The water permeability is not as good. One thing that's great about soilless is how aerated it is.
That's what I like.
And the soil is it mulches the molasses better.
Do you?
However, I would always go with something like Sweet over molasses, but your price point is 5 to 6 times more. So it's a matter of if you can afford it, it's better. If you can't, then I'd go with the molasses.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I personally, I mean, I'm not sold on molasses. I don't. It's not something I go with. But I also am a very noob kind of grower too. I'm not going to claim that I know.
If you were doing,
I've grown a lot more than a lot of other people, but
if you're doing, let's say, a super soil, and doing, say, 100-gallon pots outside or a greenhouse, molasses would be really, really good to mix into that super soil.
And I could see where that
because you're looking at a 2-month breakdown.
Exactly, and that's the whole thing. With
it has its place.
That's the whole thing is the breakdown and everything. Yeah. So okay, thanks for bringing that around there. Damn it, what was I going to say here?
I don't know.
Shit. I had something else to add into that, but I completely forgot what the hell I was going to say. We talked about Orca Liquid, the Floralicious.
Floralicious Plus.
You keep talking about the Floralicious
Plus.
Plus.
Grow, there's Floralicious Bloom. I like both of those, but they're not. Neither of them can touch the Floralicious Plus. Floralicious Plus is a marine kelp-based organic, super concentrated. Use 1 ml per gallon and everything, all the way through. Everything about it is quality. It enhances distinction, flavor. It's got great recovery principles in there.
Yeah.
I also use it for my super soil at about 5 times its normal strength. I just put it in there once. It's unbelievable the quality and lushness that it brings to a product. Like if you were to use just a pure hydroponic, no organic system, and use half your crop, and then use the other with just 1 ml per gallon of that, it's not even close. Like it's unbelievable, like what that little of a product can do.
Wow.
I recommend it to everybody. When the first thing they ask, they go, "Okay, what can I add?"
And you use it the whole time.
I use it all the way through.
And then we talked about Sweet Raw.
Yeah.
Bud Candy.
Yep. I use them both because they're 2 very different types of carbs. I use the Bud Candy slightly lower than what it's recommended because I'm also using
I did
Raw.
I did the same thing when I grew too because I noticed that they just didn't cover all the bases with both of them. The Cool Bloom
Dry, the Cool Bloom Dry. It's a PK booster. There's lots of PK boosters out there. Moab is very popular now.
Which is hugely popular, and from hearing that people are getting like very great results off of Moab. Moab wasn't around when I
Mother of all blooms,
and
Moab. It's the acronym.
Who is Mother of all bloom, and it's who owns it? It's a part of it's part of the Mad Farmer line, isn't it? Mad Farmer line that's come out from. It's not Hydro Farm. No.
I forget.
Some big ass company.
It is one of the majors, but there's a lot of nice products that they have. But Moab is by far the most popular right now.
They also have this. It's strange. I don't know why, but I mean they have a hydrogen peroxide.
Yeah, Mad Farmer. It's H2O2.
H2O2.
It's a 34% hydrogen peroxide. It's fantastic.
Yeah, don't get it on your skin.
Do not. Your skin will turn white and you'll get an owie.
Yeah, it does suck. Some of that got dumped in dirt a little bit. Man, I was sitting there. I was mourning the organisms. I was like, it was just bubbling, like bubble, and every bubble, I was like, oh, it's killing the soil.
You're supposed to dilute the shit out of it.
Yeah, if you dilute it, then it can add awesomeness to your soil, and you can clean. Yeah. Well, some people also add; they'll oxygenate their system.
Absolutely, especially aeroponic type stuff, hydroponic.
Yeah,
they run it in the system, and it keeps their tubes clean, things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's. But if you use it wrong,
it can kill stuff. It's supposed to kill stuff. It's an antibiotic.
Yeah.
So
I mean, humans drink diluted solution.
Absolutely.
Hydrogen peroxide solutions.
Yeah. Definitely dilute it or you'll die.
Yeah.
Actually, H2O2 right now is not on the shelf because Hydrofarm got sued for not telling the proper directions of
really?
how to use it. Yeah, and some idiot did something stupid with it, and now there's a massive lawsuit. So they're repackaging it, and I guess it'll be back on the shelves in a few weeks, saying that don't drink this. This is not for this. This is for it's for this. It's hilarious. But it happens a lot. There's a lot of products that all of a sudden just disappear.
That's what we were talking. I mean, we talk
Gravity.
about the last. I mean, that's where I was right. We're going to go right into is we've talked before at the shop about these plant PGRs, plant growth regulators, plant hormones regulators, and
they're tricky, man.
They've pulled off Gravity off the shelf because it had, whatever
potentially a carcinogenic toxin.
Yeah.
That can leave residue in the bud if it's not flushed correctly.
And I mean, and something we did read here on the show too, which I keep coming back to, and when I smoke it just out of a pipe, it scares the just bejesus out of me now, because I'm like, what is in the shit that I'm smoking? 70% of the pesticides are basically a lot of the pesticides that are being put in your plant are still in that plant.
But it's most of them that are, with the exception of forbid, avid, floramite, mallet.
Well, unless you're doing a good flush.
And natural. Well, no. Even the flushing won't affect those. If you use.
No, that's what I'm saying.
forbid,
even if you're using a good flush, I mean, there's so many. It's not just those ones that you're listing off that you can't get rid of. There's across the board. There's so many things that can get stuck in your plant, and that more and more studies are coming out. Like the study we just saw, 70% of what can be what's left in your buds in your plant can be smoked. I mean, you're smoking that. It's having an effect on your body. 70% of those chemicals. But then on the other hand, when you pass that through a water pipe or whatever, it takes out 90% of those chemicals from what this study we've seen. So, man, to me, there's no reason to smoke out of a pipe anymore unless it has water in it.
I've always kind of felt like that. I thought it was pretty obvious.
And how does extracts? Yeah, I know, to me it's always been obvious too, but sometimes you just have to have that pipe. When I was blowing glass, one of the only things, and was still the only things that I really have on my mind is like creating is, and I'm sure there's ones out there, but just a travel water rig that you can put in your pocket, put in a case that doesn't spill, multiple chamber.
Yeah, some sort of encased. Yeah.
And there's stuff like that, but, anyway.
I will say this, as long as the people that, if you're getting your flowers from someone you trust, it's not even the flushing. Flushing is not even that relevant. It's what are they putting in? Are they using pesticides that they shouldn't use?
Well, as far as, pesticides is not relevant.
If they're using something like forbid or avid or floramite, are they genuinely doing it 2 months out so there's no residue no matter what? Or are they actually 30 days out kind of going, well, let's just use it one more time.
No,
and now it's possible there's residue in there.
Dude, for real. And that's people are doing that.
It's a neurotoxin. It's what, say, poisonous snakes are injecting into you. It's literally, it shuts down your nervous system. So you have to be careful with that. You got to trust your source.
From what I know about a lot of growers, man, they really don't. Some of them don't care.
Many.
I mean, it's a select few that actually will hold themselves accountable, for making sure that their plants are taken care of at the highest quality. I mean, you may see, the thing is like a lot of these things they say on the packaging for ornamental use. If it says for ornamental use and you're putting it on your bud, then shame on you.
That means use it in veg and not in flower.
Yeah, I wouldn't even use it in veg. I wouldn't even use it, period.
You can go to the companies on their websites and see how long it could potentially last.
Yeah.
They'll let you know.
But that's the thing, is like if it's ornamental, I mean, that's non-consumable product, really.
Right, that's for a houseplant.
Yeah, I mean, don't be putting this stuff on. And that's what I'm saying. When it comes down to this regulation, we start getting test results and we start having certain patterns formed and people like raising their voice of like, hey, this is for ornamental use. This shit shouldn't be showing up as much as it is. Bam, that shit's going to get banned, man. And if you use it, then you're going to get in trouble.
Big fines. But here's the thing.
Some people think that the people won't care, though.
But here's a little dirty little secret that it's I guess if you think about it, it shouldn't be a secret. But I know people that work at greenhouses that produce produce, and they have very strict regulations on what they can use and when.
Yeah.
And they break them on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Even your local, like, oh, it's a local farmer, so it's okay. No, they're putting heavy-duty pesticides that are illegal in this state.
They need to be in business.
This week on that stuff, wash it.
I need to be in business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom, and it is. It's the bottom line that forces people to do this, and, I mean, we just need to have more.
If you don't think that produce at Costco has pesticides on it, you're just, it's ignorance, and I don't mean that in an insulting way. But there's the only way to get those big, huge, beautiful fruits with no issues is to use things like Eagle 20 and to prevent powdery mildews and to use, all these heavy-duty tetrasands and forbids and Avid. And I mean, Avid, I was talking to one of the wholesalers at a place called Denver Wholesale Florists, and he said that they sold Avid in 6-gallon jugs. I know it's $300 for like 8 ounces. So can you imagine how much 6-gallon jugs for? I'm like, where are these going? He's like, well, it's all the local gardens. And I'm like, wow, you guys are putting Avid on lettuce and then like things like that. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, lettuce is a 25-day crop. And this is a 40-day active systemic pesticide. Like, really, what are they spraying? And he's like, that's not my job. He's like, I can't control where it goes, you know. So all I could say is, you know, just because you wash it off, also it still might be in there. So grow your own. Grow your own everything.
Grow your own. GYO.
Yeah, I tell people to grow all their own foods and vegetables, and you know, trusted source. Once again, go to Whole Foods. Yeah, it's twice as expensive, but there's a reason. You know, they typically do have a quality control that other people don't have.
Yeah.
You know, alfalfas. But I don't care what it is that you're growing. You trust your source. I don't care if it's flowers. I don't care if it's your shatter. You know, how do you know that they didn't use powdery mildew bud with your shatter? There's no way to know.
Well, see, that's why, man. I think the testing is going to become a bigger thing, man.
I hope so.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
But as we say, I mean, as you just said, that farmers, you know, using illegal products, they're going to do it anyway. But hopefully it betters the majority of the process. You know, I know people are still going to try and screw it up.
Trust your source. You know, that I know a lot of people that really like their caregivers or go to a specific caregiver or a specific dispensary because they do trust their source. And I tell them, stick with it. You know, if you think that they're legit, then stick with it. And, you know, that's the best you could do.
I'm pretty interested to see Gaia's about, like you mentioned. I mean, this has been a name that's been tossed around a lot here recently. And then now that they've got, you know, Tierra Rojo up in that business, then, I mean, it's definitely something that's being talked about. I mean, when Rare Dankness switched over to River Rock, you know, that was something that was pretty big. And they're still starting to continue rolling out. But now Tierra Rojo.
Philip. Let's just call him Philip.
And I take it as a whole company, though. It's not just one singular dude or whatever.
Philip is the head grower with.
Yeah.
And he is in charge of so much, and he is an amazing breeder. He's breeds some of the best strains in the world. And he happens to be here locally, which is awesome.
And I haven't been as excited to check out Bud's as much as I have to check out, you know, what he's got coming.
He's constantly breeding too, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, I
mean, always popping beans.
Yeah, River Rock. I mean, it was you know, I enjoyed seeing Bo's success, and
I think Scott's great, and I love his strains.
But our relationships with me and River Rock and that kind of fell off during that time, so I didn't get to see.
They're a new client of ours, so we just got.
No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
That's our new
so I mean,
account.
it kind of fell off a little bit, so I didn't get to see their products and what's going on there. I get to see with Dread. You know,
I will say River Rock has gone all organic.
Really?
Yeah, they buy because they just made a huge purchase from us because it's one of my new commercial accounts is River Rock, and they just came in and their super soil has 8 different soils and soil amendments in it. No nutrients for the first 2 months. They did go all organic. Which
the homie
cool.
Dread is like taking care of a large part of the dankness grow. But I mean those it's just something that overall, I guess, like it's cool to get excited about somebody coming in and like, hey, we're gonna roll out this product line, you know, and this is the person responsible for it. You know,
I think Philip's a really good matchup with Rye Pritchard too, because he gets to take all the pictures of the awesome flowers that he's putting out and awesome shatter.
Freaking Rye.
Philip is in charge of a grow, I think, that's being completely dedicated to just making extracts as well with Gaia. But I don't know if you know, but they just got licensing in 2 other states now.
Really? That's
so
cool.
They're going.
I think they're
truly going
about
national.
That. Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
I've heard a lot of rumors about a lot of people, man, and I've heard a few things necessarily a little while back that, you know, not so great about Gaia, but it seems like everything's straightened out. And even if that rumor was true or whatever, you know, I've heard stuff about River Rock, heard stuff about 420 Wellness, you know, heard stuff about the people that the LeConte's situation and the owners of that and more.
I heard some.
So I mean, it's not just me trying to pick on people. Let me get that straight. Let me get that straight because it made a big fuss with a lot of people.
It's a dramatic industry,
It's me repeating things that I have heard, and if I hear them more than once, twice, 3 times, I'm going to say, "Hey, this is something I've heard."
2 things I
you
will
probably
say.
know about it before me, though, if you're the owner of that spot.
Right. I will say a couple things. One, there is some validity to almost all of it.
Probably.
But I do believe this is a very dramatic industry.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much like
I can't believe how many snitches there are still, though.
Snitches get stitches. I have seen so much stuff. I've seen from the inside what really happens, and then I watch the grapevine take a hold of it and turn it into something. I'm like, okay, dude, here's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this kind of happened, but now you're making it some, you know, huge dramatic thing. That's just not true. And it's almost like I feel like people are like sitting around the bong going, I'll bet you they do this and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, by the end of the conversation, it's fact. Although I have heard some very interesting and disturbing things about several of the places.
Dude, man, I'm making tons of enemies just because we get more popular here on the show, and that people tell us things, we hear things, we repeat things, we hold people accountable.
Yeah,
I think we did a good job yesterday with talking about a product, and also holding the company accountable for the product that they're pushing across, or at least asking them the questions. Look, I'm not the company. I can't force them to make a different product, because all I can do is sit here and say, hey, this is what people say to me about your product. What do you have to say about it, okay? I can't force them to answer a certain way,
And quality control becomes much more challenging the bigger you get. That's a big part of it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, those are growing pains that we get to experience here on the show, and it's fantastic that we get to be a part of that. So we just want to make sure that we navigate
such a fledgling industry, though. There's going to be a lot of issues. It's just the way it is. I think there's still the majority of people that are in this industry are not really professionals per se. There are people that
we're getting there.
Yes, absolutely, getting there exponentially even. But
professional and expert are two different words.
Yes, but
there are professionals,
there's a lack of both.
And there are experts.
And there's a lack of both.
But we need professional experts here.
Right. And seems to be a lot of people claiming they're experts. And I talk to them. I'm like, you're not even a rudimentary, like you're like 7th grade level, let alone PhD.
Oh, yeah, dude. Grow store, period. Number one, a grow store is like the barber shop of our industry.
Oh, it really is.
It is the rumor mill, central, number one spot for people to go to hang out. Just sit there and they chill, bounce things off of each other, rumors, thoughts, all this kind of stuff, man.
You hear some great stories. It's almost like a lot of people.
If you're around me and you say something, just say off the record, because otherwise I'm going to take it.
We actually have this. We have a weekly meeting like any good business, and one of the things that the owner brings up on a regular basis is like, remember, all these customers just want to come in and yap away and talk about the industry and all that stuff. Is like, so remember, you want to give them their ear, but at the same time, you can't just sit there and listen to them tell stories all the time. You got to still do your job.
Dude, they will.
But there are people that come in and
daily.
They are coming in to buy a product. But really, like, I think what it is, they smoke a huge bowl in their car right before they walk in. And they just go on this, like, just got baked tangent on some random thing. And so I get caught up in it sometimes. I'm like, no way, tell me more.
I refuse to talk to, there's so many people that come in talking about, like, conspiracy theories.
Oh, my God.
I refuse to talk about conspiracy theories. I will not, do not.
In some of them,
you all are paranoid. Every single one of you growers and stoners are paranoid Martha Fockers.
They really are. It's amazing. And it's funny. I was trying to explain a real conspiracy to someone that got uncovered. Actually, the new one, the NSA one's pretty awesome. Actually, the recent one that came out, but how they're tracking everything.
I know.
But
something everybody
they want to talk about a
doesn't
conspiracy theory that has no validity to it. I'm like, but here's a real conspiracy. Like they talked about how the iPhones that were being made in China. This is true. They were putting in tap wire devices, and then our government agencies were using these iPhones, and they were taking all the stuff back to a hard drive, and they would find out, let's say you or I had one of the phones, and they would just turn it off. They wouldn't want us. But the ones that went to the government agencies, they left them active, and for 3 years they were recording all of our government chatter.
Holy shit!
That's an awesome conspiracy theory. That's like
a real
thing.
That's not awesome.
So awesome like that's awesome on a big basis. But then someone wants to tell me how this and this is going on. They're gonna do this and they're gonna do that. I'm like, dude, first of all, that has no validity at all, none. It doesn't even make sense why anyone would do it when there's real conspiracy theories we could talk about. Like, hey, NSA is recording everything.
I've lost true friends over 9/11 argument, man. I really have. I've lost some true friends. I don't want to get into that. I'm going to keep this here, and then tomorrow or on Monday to start out the show, and or at least one of the days here, we'll go over growers' tips for success, mixing veg, bloom, stress, flush, pH levels, cocoa users.
Cool.
I mean, we'll sit there and maybe read one every day next week.
Nice. I dig it.
I don't know. We'll figure something out, because we're definitely at the end of the show.
If anyone wants
today.
one of these charts, just contact me on Facebook or Colin at Grow Big Supply, and we can customize a chart for you in your system.
Who are you on Facebook, Colin?
No, I'm Colin Gordon on Facebook, but
Colin
you can I run
Yeah.
our Facebook page, which is Grow Big Supply. So you can always contact me through there.
John Doe Radio page has the Grow Big Supply up on it, and is one of our friends and me. I like the Grow Big Supply page, so if you want to center it down.
And a couple of little reminders, the party on the 22nd next Saturday. It's really going to be awesome. At least come down, check it out, get some free food and beer.
If you want to come in and hang out next Thursday or Friday and remind people that about the party and stuff, you can come and sit in the show with us.
Come in for a little cameo. And then
it's cool.
If you are a commercial account, if you have a large, huge account, remember, contact me. And I don't care what you're paying. I will crush your prices, period. And if you're anyone, I don't care what kind of customer you are, come in, tell us what you're paying, bring your receipt in from another competitor, and we'll beat it on the spot, period. And we'll always beat it. And we are truly at a point where our prices, and I guarantee this, our shelf prices, everyone's like, oh, I got a really good bro price. Like one of our ads actually says our shelf price is better than your bro price. But it really is. And people exaggerate, they exaggerate the MSRP, so they have this discount on it. Our MSRP is on there. Our cost is there. We don't hide anything. We have unbelievable prices. And everyone who comes in is like, I had no idea the stuff was this cheap. So hit us up. If you're a commercial account,
smart shopper.
Up. I'll set you up with a commercial account. And remember, we deliver, and we really take care of our customers.
Awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, dude, for being a part of the show. Thank you for coming on and supporting us, and we hope that the listeners support you guys too. GrowBigSupply.com. Colin from Grow Big Supply.
Thanks for having me.
Definitely. Some news that we didn't get to today that we can talk about next week. We'll get to, I'm sure, these things at some point in time next week. Arizona recreational marijuana initiative being talked about and launched. Tons of stories talking about the many different faces of marijuana in America. That's from NPR, and a few other stories along the same lines, of trying to explain, the new cannabis trend across America. New York Times today, Colorado localities make their own rules before the final decision on marijuana sales. Stories about how much is being spent on the drug war. Those are huge things. Obviously Friday, one of those days that news stories are dumped. Yeah. The money stories and the stories that are like, oh yeah, this is the dirty part of things are dumped today. So we'll get to those. $300 million crackdown on medical marijuana is how much Obama has spent, is what the Huffington Post is saying.
What are they saying? I don't understand the number.
Federal spending on medical marijuana intervention estimated at over $289 million over the past 4.5 years with Obama, which
and how much
crushes
are they made in federal
Bush's
taxes?
Money too. Bush wasn't even anywhere near as heavy on medical marijuana as Obama has been. So we'll get to that and talk about that. I mean, the numbers are staggering that are coming out. And the reason why they're staggering is because people are actually starting to pay attention to them. Right. And they're starting to catch newsworthiness. Right. Where they were already newsworthy. You see 40, 50 different sources when you Google news something. It's 50 stories on this $300 million and then 50 stories about the, ACLU and how much minorities are punished, even though we now understand that everybody smokes the same amount. It's ridiculous.
I think why people smoke more.
Well, that's the thing. It's that's what that's what the studies had showed before.
Spend more money on it, at least.
Is that Caucasians had smoked more marijuana than minorities, everyone else or whatever. That's what the belief was here years. But now and the studies are saying it's the
across
same.
the board.
It's across the board. Everybody smokes weed, dude.
And just like in the grow shop, you get it takes all kinds.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody comes in.
Oh, dude, it's
and
crazy.
You never know who's who either.
Dude, it's weird. And the people that sometimes bring in the CO2 tanks, I'm like, you just don't seem like you should know everything that you should know to be able to do with CO2.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised by sometimes.
Me too.
Some ghetto kids come in with obviously not a high education, but they're brilliant when it comes to this art.
Dude, for real. And that's going to be a spot where they'll be able to succeed in the future, Yeah. And the other thing that really disappoints me, though, is the older people that don't want to move in any of their in anything they've learned, even though there's better products.
They're still using Fox Farm nutrients.
The same. Oh, ouch! Yeah, don't buy that Ocean. That's a horrible mix, man. I don't see why people still use Sunshine, and I still got to read a letter of.
I use Sunshine.
Somebody's told me why they use Sunshine, and I know it's cheaper.
I use Sunshine.
I don't know why, though. Next Friday, we'll talk about it.
Massive results.
All right, Friday. But I don't know, how, though? Why? Because it's so basic. It's a dirty, dirty, dirty mix. It's not...
It's just moss and perlite.
I know, but it's just, to me, it's not clean. It's not very,
It's sterilized.
I know, but not all the time.
It's where it's stored.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the key.
That's the key.
If it's stored outside, it's junk.
And that's not really what I'm talking about though with it. It's just it's not a substantial mix, you know what I'm saying? Like it just doesn't.
It's just a media. It's like saying you hate rock wool.
It's one of the driest medias that you can get, but the quality to me just doesn't. I look at it and I just don't feel right. I don't feel right. Maybe it's just because how heavy the bags are.
The way I prep it, I get a lot of success.
We'll have to see how you have to use it right. You can't just throw it in shit and expect that you're going to get fantastic results.
True.
You got to add stuff to it.
I'm not saying there aren't great soils out there, 707, BioBiz, whatever. There's all kinds.
The Pro, I like Pro.
Pro Mix is good.
And I use the 707 quite a bit.
Yeah.
But I added here's the deal with what I did. 707, 1 bag of 707 to 2 bags of their cocoa.
Okay.
So I put 2 bags of the cocoa mix and then 1 bag of perlite in with that whole mix.
Sunshine has the new that new Sunshine mix that has the cocoa in it.
Yeah. And then there's the new Roots Organic stuff that's coming out too.
It's supposed to be really good. Actually,
what's it called?
Elevation.
Is it called Elevation?
No, that's their.
What's like Slacker?
That's their cocoa.
Elevation
is their cocoa.
Is Slacker? That's a different company. I don't know. I gotta go. I'm starving.
We're about to carry like 20 new soils, so I'll know a lot more when I come back.
You carry batch 64?
Yes.
We got a few Colorado soils that came in too, so it's cool. Check it out, growbigsupply.com. Fantastic service, fantastic people. We don't go with anybody who's not friendly here on the show. That's my first thing is if you're not friendly, then I'm not going to send my listeners to you. And great prices, great service. Check them out, growbigsupply.com. Thank you, Colin, and we'll probably see you next Friday or something. Awesome. Thursday or Friday. Yeah, whichever one works for you.
That sounds awesome.
Maybe Thursday, come in and give him a chance to like prepare for the barbecue and stuff.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, I'm about to pass out. I'm so hungry.
Let's do it.
I hit my wall. So JDR, thank you for hanging out with us. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend. Smoke too much. I'm your host, John Doe. Can't think of anything else. Until we meet again. See ya.
Produced by Charlie Stash Entertainment. The John Doe Radio Show programming is not limited to information, culture subjects, and is informational and entertainment purposes only. We specifically include responsible marijuana reform. Listening to anyone but your mother is just plain stupid. We accept no responsibility for your actions or misrepresentations, and we do not fully endorse the use of illegal drugs. You are ultimately responsible for yourself.
Live.